Doulou Dalu, the power of a book. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 126, Migration of Shrek. Xiao Wu returned to Starlight Great Forest overnight, and Tang Hao also disappeared without a trace. It's unknown whether he went to see Xiao Wu off or continued to hide near Shrek to guard. Tang San returned to the dormitory, where 5 people were looking at him curiously. Third brother, where's Xiao Wu? The 5 curious askedly. Wu's identity. Regardless of whether Xiao Wu was a spirit beast or not, at least they were friends. As for the 100,000 years old spirit ring, they couldn't even begin to consider it now. Xiao Wu has left and returned to Starlight Great Forest, Tang San said, his expression full of loss. Everything changed too quickly, and he didn't have any time to react. Xiao Wu was actually a transformed 100,000-year-old spirit beast. After that, there was a conflict with Poison Douluo. And then he learned that his father was Clear Sky Douluo, and his second martial spirit was also the continent's first tool martial spirit, Clear Sky Hammer. However, his father, Clear Sky Douluo, was severely injured, and even facing other title Douluo could potentially result in a fatal outbreak of his injuries at any time. All these changes left Tang San's heart in turmoil. After completing the final 3 days of Spirit Fighter in Suatuo City, Qin finally received replies from the 3 major boards of education. His application for Ningrongrong and Su Wen to hunt for spirit rings was approved. However, due to Su Wen's initial reasons being very valid, Qin had no choice. This time, he only planned to take Ningrongrong to search for spirit rings. Teacher Qin, when Qin announced the end of the training and intended to take everyone to Starlight Great Forest to hunt spirit beasts, Ningrongrong raised her hand. Rongrong, is there something you want to say? Well, Teacher Qin, we can just return directly to Heavendao City. My father said that my spirit ring will be hunted with the Grandmaster's guidance. Qin was full of question marks at this moment. But isn't the acquisition of spirit rings for the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda martial spirit only based on the time limit? I think I can help you hunt for it too, Qin said, puzzled. Ningrongrong stuck out her tongue, saying helplessly, my spirit ring is rather special. My father wants me to strictly follow his plan, to continue probing into the details of other people's martial spirits. This likely involved the core secrets of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. In that case, let's return directly to Heavendao City. Qin, holding the replies from the 3 major boards of education, reluctantly announced their immediate return journey. At Shrek Academy, Xia Gang, is there something you need? In the middle of the night, Flender was called out by Xia Gang for a private conversation. Flender, I've been thinking about a question Qin raised a few days ago. I feel we should waste the children's talents, Grandmaster said. Hearing that it seemed to be about this matter, Flender, who was initially groggy with sleep, suddenly became alert. What's the matter, Xia Gang? Are you also considering having Shrek join the Heavendao Imperial Academy? Flender appeared indignant. Shrek is my life's work. Our aim is to cultivate monsters. I will never agree to that, but, are you going to stand by and watch as the talents of Mubei, Xiaozhen, and the others go to waste? Grandmaster argued. Then earnestly continued, Flender, don't you want to attract more monsters to join the academy you've established? The Spirit Master competition is a great stage, and it's also our choice not to waste the talents of these little monsters. 2 are there geniuses on the continent? Quite a few. But why come to Shrek? Even if they were interested, if they know they can't participate in the Spirit Master competition, how many will come to Shrek Academy? Without a mimetic environment, without spots in the Spirit Master competition, without anything, why join Shrek? Which genius Spirit Master doesn't dream of shining on the stage of the Spirit Master competition? Lacking qualification to participate in the Spirit Master competition not only means that the students' own dreams cannot be realized, but also that they lose the best opportunity to showcase themselves. What is the Spirit Master competition for? Various major sects and forces. But the atmosphere over at Heavendao Imperial Academy, Flender pretended to hesitate. Qin Ming's invitation is just a reminder. It doesn't mean that Shrek has to join Heaven Dao Imperial Academy. We have other options. There are plenty of academies with spots in the Spirit Master competition, Grandmaster said. After pondering for a long time, he hesitantly continued, actually, I know of an academy that only accepts commoners, has a good reputation, and also has qualifications to participate in the Spirit Master competition. Flender eagerly took the bait, curious about the academy Grandmaster mentioned. Blue Tyrant Academy, Blue Tyrant Academy. Flender looked skeptical, gazing at Grandmaster. This academy's name, could it be the Spirit Master Academy established by the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan? Grandmaster didn't shy away from it, nodding in acknowledgement. Flender's expression changed, sometimes pensive, sometimes conflicted, but soon he became resolute. Gritting his teeth, he looked at Grandmaster and said, Zaya gang, what you said is right. We can't waste the talents of these little monsters. Moreover, you haven't had any contact with your family for a long time. This unexpected connection with the family this time is rare. As brothers, I, Flender, will accompany you in integrating Shrek into Blue Tyrant Academy. In the future, we'll develop and expand Blue Tyrant Academy. Zaya gang, your theoretical ability will be fully showcased, and I believe those gossipy people in your family will shut up and start to respect you. Grandmaster nodded, indeed having this idea in mind. However, I'll still need to consult with my old comrades. Grandmaster nodded and said, that's for sure. Teacher Xiaozin and the others have also contributed a lot to the academy. That night, Flender gathered many teachers and informed them of the idea of integrating Shrek into Blue Tyrant Academy. How about it? If you don't have any objections, we'll set off for Heaven Dao City immediately. Blue Tyrant Academy is affiliated with a Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. It's Zaya Gang's home ground. The treatment there will definitely be good for. Besides, I think you're all getting older now. You've been with me for so many years, and Shrek hasn't achieved much. It might be a good idea to join Blue Tyrant Academy together. It could be considered as a place for retirement, Flender said earnestly. I don't have any objections anyway, Zhao Wuji said nonchalantly, crossing his arms. Initially, he was chased by the Spirit Hall and then followed Flender to become the Vice Dean at Shrek. As for Xiaozin and the others, they were all deceived by Flender into staying. Over time, they developed some friendship and chose not to leave. At this moment, when Flender made the decision to merge Shrek into Blue Tyrant Academy, they didn't object. Indeed, they were getting older, and it was time to consider retirement. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 127, The 8 Extraordinary Meridians. 7 days later. Heaven Dao City. We're finally back, exclaimed the members of the Emperor fighting team. Although this experience lasted only 4 short months, for them, it felt extremely long. It was either fighting or preparing for battles every day. This kind of life went on for 4 months, even more exhausting than their daily participation in the Great Spirit Arena as spirit fighters in Heaven Dao City. This time, they had witnessed most of the distinctive martial spirits and spirit master fighting styles within the Heaven Dao Empire. Alright, everyone, this training session is successfully completed. You can all return home and digest the gains from this experience. I think Xianheng and Yanzi, you should also try to break through to level 40. 38, didn't make further progress in these 4 months, but Shimo made a breakthrough and reached level 38. Yilingling, being in the auxiliary system, progresses slower, now at level 36 from level 35. Although there were breakthroughs, the effects of this training session haven't been fully digested. After some rest and recalling the gains of these 4 months, they may experience further breakthroughs in the coming time. Especially for Shimo, there's hope to reach level 39 within the next month, closing in on the Captain Yu Xianheng and Vice Captain Du Guyan. As for Yu Xianheng and Du Guyan, they had already reached level 39 with their previous breakthroughs. Perhaps it's time for them to prepare for secluded cultivation to break through to level 40. There are still 2 years until the Spirit Master competition. Based on the current performance of the Emperor fighting team, Qin Ming is even considering turning the team into a complete lineup of spirit ancestors before the Spirit Master competition. Currently, the one lagging behind the most is Yilingling. After all, she is an auxiliary spirit master, and her soul power cultivation progresses slower. Currently, she is only at level 36. It's possible for her to reach level 39 within 2 years, but whether she can break through level 40 is uncertain. However, Su Wen has already broken through level 40 and is also a member of the team. Even if Yi Lingling doesn't break through, the Emperor fighting team can be considered to truly have 7 spirit ancestors. Everyone returned home. Su Wen undoubtedly followed has nowhere to go, so he Douluo and Douyan to the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang well. Wow, this is Douyan's first time at the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang well, feeling the extreme cold and heat here. It's uncomfortable but also somewhat shocking. Oh my, why are there so many precious poison grasses here? She could only recognize the peripheral poison grasses, but even that was enough to astonish her. Upon seeing the more valuable medicinal herbs in the inner area, it refreshed her perspective even more. Grandfather, did you cultivate all the herbs here? Douyan exclaimed in awe. Douluo injected soul power into Douyan, assisting her in dispelling the surrounding ice and fire energies of the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang well, and replied, only a small portion of the poisonous herbs here were transplanted by me. Those thriving ones are naturally grown in this place. Yaner, I called you here this time for 2 reasons. Firstly, to let you practice toxic techniques here, stimulating the circulation of your soul power to help you break through. Secondly, I have something to give you. Douluo instructed Douyan to stay in place and not approach the wellspring. Then he went alone towards the area around the wellspring and arrived at a cluster of white crystalline flowers. It looked as immaculate as a lotus root. Douluo plucked it and brought it in front of Douyan. This is daffodil jade flesh bone. According to my research, it should have the effect of moisturizing the tendons and bones, and penetrating the hidden veins throughout the body. 2 hidden veins, also known as the 8 extraordinary meridians, the penetration of each of which is no less significant for a spirit master than an evolution. Basically, those who can cultivate to become titled Douluo will coincidentally penetrate a part of their hidden veins under fortuitous circumstances. Moreover, Super Douluo above level 95, whenever they break through and if there are hidden veins yet to be penetrated, will almost always accompany the penetration of 1 or even 2 hidden veins, one being able to penetrate the hidden veins in the body before becoming a spirit ancestor, even if it's only a partial penetration, brings tremendous benefits to the future cultivation of a spirit master. Moreover, Su Wen is clearly aware that this daffodil jade flesh bone is not just for assisting in the penetration of 1 or 2 of the 8 extraordinary meridians, but rather for penetration of all the 8 extraordinary meridians. This is also the reason why the Shrek 7 devils in the original work were still extremely smooth in their cultivation afterwards, and their rate of soul power breakthrough far surpassed that of ordinary spirit masters. After the original spirit master competition, only 5 years have passed, and several of the Shrek 7 devils have reached the spirit emperor level, with some approaching it. On average, each of them has ascended at least 15 levels, which means 3 levels per year. This is remarkable, not to mention if we consider the Spirit King realm. Strictly speaking, even within the Spirit Ancestor realm, this progress is somewhat exceptional. Su Wen consumed 4 stalks of immortal grass, none of which specifically focused on penetrating the 8 extraordinary meridians. However, Su Wen possesses an exceptionally strong perception and has long been trying to expand his meridians gradually through his own soul power cultivation. Penetration, in this context, doesn't mean clearing the meridians as in the past but rather expanding them through the flow of soul power, allowing them to accommodate more soul power circulation. Once the 8 extraordinary meridians are penetrated, the flow of soul power is unobstructed, and each of the 8 extraordinary meridians has its own effects, significantly enhancing a spirit master's strength and cultivation. Su Wen wouldn't dare claim that he had fully penetrated all the 8 extraordinary meridians before, but after absorbing the 4 major immortal grasses, it could be considered as achieved. The daffodil jade flesh bone can penetrate the 8 extraordinary meridians while also moisturizing the tendons and bones. Its benefits to Douyan are self-evident, making her future cultivation much smoother. Moreover, it can effectively compensate for the state of her body, which has been eroded by toxins since birth. Even if the toxins are eliminated, the constant erosion of toxins throughout her life has left her body riddled with wounds. Douluo can nurture his body with his powerful soul power, but Douyan cannot. Yaner, according to my research, the medicinal efficacy of this daffodil jade flesh bone is concentrated in the petals and stamen. You should first consume the petals, then suck the stamen. Douyan took the daffodil jade flesh bone and, following Douluo's instructions, began to consume its petals. As each petal entered her mouth, it dissolved, turning into a warm stream flowing through her body. After consuming all the petals, she finally sucked on the stamen, allowing the medicinal power to enter her body. She then sat cross-legged on the ground, starting to refine this medicinal power. As the warm stream flowed through her body, suddenly, some small meridians were nourished by the warmth and began to expand rapidly. The reason why the hidden veins are called hidden veins is that they are not initially the main meridians in the body. Before being penetrated, they are indistinguishable from ordinary small meridians, making them difficult to locate. Watching Doulou Yan absorb the daffodil jade flesh bone, Douluo said to Su Wen, "Xiao, what level is your soul power now? If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 128, Beautiful Silk Tulip. Facing Douluo's inquiry, Su Wen did not hide anything. Besides himself, the clearest understanding of his soul power level now belongs to Douluo and old Jerry. Even Xiaozan probably only knew that Su Wen had broken through level 40, without knowing that Su Wen's soul power had directly mutated after obtaining the 4th spirit ring. Of course, perhaps after absorbing the medicinal power of the coxcomb phoenix sunflower and completing the breakthrough, Xiaozan might be able to speculate on some things. Zan was not an outsider, so Su Wen didn't need to be on guard. Level 49. When Douluo heard Su Wen's reported soul power level, he repeated it, somewhat absent-minded. Level 49. Su Wen is only 14 years old this year. Are you close to level 50 as well? Do you have hope of breaking through in a short time? Douluo asked. Su Wen nodded, indicating that this was not a problem. Douluo's gaze shifted, seeming to think of something. Xiao, do you want to absorb another precious medicinal herb? This way, you can directly break through level 50, and after obtaining the 5th spirit ring, your soul power will inevitably increase a lot. This way, you have a chance to break through to level 60 before the Spirit Master competition. Su Wen was speechless. Grandpa Doulou, I have already taken 4 precious medicinal herbs of foundation in the Douluo continent, but relying on gradually cultivated soul power is more reliable. Using medicinal herbs like the immortal grass to accumulate soul power actually skips a step in transforming source soul power. Although it is no different from the soul power cultivated by oneself and has no harm. However, once this part of soul power occupies too large a proportion, Su Wen feels that it may cause a decrease in the Spirit Master's control over soul power. Imagine, if a Spirit Master's soul power inside the body is mostly transformed by various medicinal powers of immortal grass, accumulated, and not cultivated by the Spirit Master himself, how terrifying that would be. You know nothing about the source of your power. Of course, besides the aspect of controlling soul power, increasing soul power too much with medicinal power can also lead to a large amount of medicinal power accumulating in the body. The mixture of various precious medicinal herbs' medicinal powers deposited in the body may make digestion even more difficult. Over time, it may form medicinal toxicity. Su Wen is immune to all poisons, but it does itself not mean he is truly immune to any toxins. Just as immunity to all poison still cannot resist the power of aphrodisiacs, medicinal toxicity itself is a kind of medicinal power, and the constitution of immunity to all poisons will also be troubled by it. The accumulation of medicinal toxicity throughout the body will not only hinder the Spirit Master from further digesting the accumulated medicinal power, but also affect the functions of various parts of the body, thereby affecting the efficiency of cultivation. Douluo naturally understands this principle, and just now he only mentioned it on a whim. After all, in the history of the Spirit Master competition held in the Douluo continent, there has never been a participant of Spirit Emperor level. Not to mention Spirit Emperor, even Spirit King is not present in every session. And if Su Wen can reach Spirit Emperor level in the Spirit Master competition, and still achieve it at the age of 16, he will definitely become famous instantly throughout the continent too. Douluo hasn't forgotten Su Wen's idea of establishing the Wisdom Palace. He now basically regards himself as one of the elders of the Wisdom Palace. After all, the talent shown by Su Wen now is already unbelievable. At 14 years old, at level 49, he has a complete chance to reach Spirit King before he turns 15. Estimate that Tang Hao's record as the youngest titled Douluo on the continent will be surpassed by Su Wen. I wonder how many years in advance. A titled Douluo at 30 years old? Just the thought makes Douluo excited. In other words, within 20 years, Su Wen will be able to achieve titled Douluo status. With 2 titled Douluos in the Wisdom Palace, they will be no less powerful than the top forces of the 3 clans today. With Xiaozan on top of that, during Su Wen's reign, the Wisdom Palace will definitely stabilize and become the top power on the entire continent in the future. As an elder-level figure of such a promising power, Douluo naturally can just sit back and enjoy the results. He was just so excited about the possibility of Su Wen revealing a Spirit Emperor cultivation in the Spirit Master competition that he even overlooked the pharmacological aspects. It's because he is so eager to contribute to the establishment of the Wisdom Palace's reputation in its early days. In fact, I think the medicinal properties of that beautiful silk tulip are quite compatible with the 8-petal immortal orchid you took before. When I was researching various precious medicinal herbs before, I also collected some of their admitted aura for research. After Su Wen resolved Douluo's toxins, his research on various medicinal herbs in the ice and fire yin-yang well became more profound. After all, without the burden of toxins in his body, he could research many poisonous herbs more safely, without fear of causing mutations in his own toxins. He felt that the medicinal power of the beautiful silk tulip, combined with that of the 8-petal immortal orchid, could have a greater effect. The beautiful silk tulip is elegant and noble, absorbing the essence of the sun and moon. I plan to give it to Rongrong, Su Wen said. Douluo frowned. Although Su Wen could freely take any herbs from the ice and fire yin-yang well, these precious medicinal herbs had the effect of refining the essence and marrow, allowing spirit masters to undergo a transformation. Su Wen giving the beautiful silk tulip to Rongrong wasn't something he looked upon favorably. Rongrong doesn't actually have much use for Su Wen now. Su Wen doesn't explain this either. After spending a long time together, feelings naturally develop, and besides, it's not as if there are no benefits for Su Wen from a relationship based on mutual interests. 1. The 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda, with its 8th and 9th spirit skills, are both life-saving techniques. Not only are they useful for auxiliary spirit masters like Rongrong, but if a battle spirit master can obtain 2 major protective spirit skills, they can also fight more recklessly. Although this benefit seems somewhat insignificant compared to the effects of the beautiful silk tulip. Grandpa Doulou, are you planning to use this singular velvet sky chrysanthemum as a dowry for Sister Yan to marry Yushai and Hen? Su Wen pointed to the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum and asked. Douluo nodded, not hiding his intentions. Since the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan has sent such a top-notch spirit bone, he naturally wouldn't hesitate to use the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum in his possession. From an objective standpoint, the value of the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum is obviously greater. Of course, Su Wen won't try to persuade otherwise. Just like how he still intends to give the beautiful silk tulip to Rongrong for absorption, helping her evolve her 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda martial spirit, some things cannot be purely measured from a value perspective. Yaner, you're almost done absorbing it. The absorption of immortal grass doesn't take too long. After 3 hours of refining, Doulou Yan's soul power fluctuations stabilized. She opened her eyes, looking shocked. Surpassed at, she exclaimed, her mouth agape, stunned by the effects of the daffodil jade flesh bone. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, You Didn't Ask Either. There is no need herself to say much about the function of daffodil jade flesh bone. At this moment, Doulou Yan immersed in her own improvement, feeling her own state. My soul power breakthrough is only secondary. I feel that the meridians in my body are now wider, especially some of the original tiny meridians, which have been expanded significantly. Doulou Yan tried to operate her soul power and found that her 8 expanded tiny meridians, although quite chaotic and not connected to many meridians, still played a very good auxiliary role in any operation of soul power. Doulou Yan knew that this should be what her grandfather called hidden meridians. Even if it's just simple meditation cultivation, without actively running soul power along fixed routes, soul power will still spread throughout the body. In this process, these hidden meridians will also come into play, making the operation of soul power easier and more convenient, enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of cultivation. Yaner, how many hidden meridians have you opened up in total? Douluo asked. 8, how many? Douluo was shocked, looking at his granddaughter. How many hidden meridians did you say you opened? 8. Doulou Yan also knew this was quite shocking. Following Douluo, she had learned a lot about some attempts in Spirit Master cultivation and knew what opening the 8 hidden meridians meant. It meant having 3 times more hidden meridians than her grandfather. Douluo, a titled Douluo, had only opened 2 hidden meridians in his body, so far 6 hidden meridians with his granddaughter. Although the opening of hidden meridians may not necessarily boost the soul power of a titled Douluo, after reaching level 95, there are indeed requirements for the opening of hidden meridians for a titled Douluo. Moreover, the benefits of opening hidden meridians ahead of time for cultivation need not be overstated. Douluo was initially unaware of the locations of all the hidden meridians. Now that his granddaughter had opened 8 of them, he naturally inquired immediately. However, after Douluo described them for a while, Douluo felt several hidden meridians within his body, feeling like a tangled mess. There were too many meridians in the same area, intricate and complex. It was as difficult as reaching the heavens to find one specific hidden meridian among them. Su Wen quietly released his martial spirit beside them, sketching out meridians on a blank sheet of paper. This was a meridian diagram he had publicly displayed a long time ago. Among them, 8 meridians were spread throughout the body, marked by Su Wen in a special form. However, perhaps these markings were not prominent enough before. At this moment, Su Wen emphasized the circulation of soul power within these 8 meridians. He asked kindly, "Grandpa Douluo, I found them a long time ago. Every time I demonstrate the soul power circulation route to you, these 8 meridians are always marked," Su Wen said speechlessly. He had thought that a titled Douluo like Douluo would understand the positions of these hidden meridians, or would realize it after seeing the meridian diagram. "Why didn't you say so?" "You didn't ask." Su Wen was genuinely straightforward. He had marked them himself, and Douluo didn't even think about it. Who could he blame? Douluo's face showed a helpless expression. Although he had opened 2 hidden meridians, he only knew their approximate locations. He was unaware of the distribution of other meridians around them, so it was impossible for him to identify those 2 meridians among Su Wen's extremely complex meridian diagram as hidden meridians just by chance. "Give me a copy of this meridian diagram," Douluo rubbed his brow. "Grandpa Douluo, I'll just help you find the 8 hidden meridians directly." Su Wen integrated directly that page into Douluo's body. Then, he got stuck. Su Wen looked a bit embarrassed and reminded Douluo, "Grandpa Douluo, please cooperate with me in running soul power." Douluo's soul power quality was too high and too dense, Su Wen couldn't guide it. Douluo also felt the pulling force inside his body and followed its guidance to operate. Soon, Douluo found the positions of the remaining 6 hidden meridians. His expression was complex. "Xiao, your ability is truly incredible." Previously, Su Wen had actually mentioned this ability to him. The fact that old Jerry could quickly master the spirit ascension method was because of Su Wen's guidance in this form. However, at that time, Douluo hadn't realized the seriousness of the matter. Now, with the help of Su Wen's ability, he effortlessly found the positions of 6 hidden meridians. Although finding the positions didn't necessarily mean they could be opened, the significance was still huge. Opening hidden meridians relied on stimulation and opportunity, but knowing their locations in advance was crucial beforehand. Even if they couldn't open them independently, they could attempt to stimulate them during each soul power breakthrough. Douluo was already level 92, perhaps opportunity seemed scarce. However, what about spirit masters like Su Wen and Douluo at their levels? They knew that every breakthrough at smaller levels, every breakthrough after reaching multiples of 10, and every breakthrough after obtaining a spirit ring were major breakthroughs, leading to the simultaneous growth of their martial spirits. From Spirit Ancestor to Title Douluo, there are a total of 5 major breakthrough bottlenecks and 5 martial spirit growths. By consciously guiding soul power to impact these hidden meridians, one could definitely succeed 2 or 3 times. With good luck, it's possible to open 4 or even 5 hidden meridians. It's like being given chances out of nowhere. Of course, Douluo would also try using Immortal Grass next, which would inevitably help him open 2 or 3 hidden meridians in advance. However, there are still drawbacks. Your ability is akin to peering into the other person's body, revealing all their information. Douluo could clearly feel Su Wen's intrusion at that time, and it was very intense, giving him a feeling of being completely exposed. He was an old man, and his relationship with Su Wen was close, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to accept it. For example, Douluo never even thought of asking Su Wen for help with guidance. "Alright, Yaner, how's your progress with the spirit ascension method now?" Douluo, thought of the spirit ascension method. Doulou Yan's face showed a bitter expression as she said, "It's too difficult. Even with Zaya Aoun's techniques, I've only managed to locate and memorize all the positions of the meridians. I'm still trying to form a complete circulation." Upon hearing this, Douluo didn't feel disappointed. Instead, he was quite satisfied. "It's okay. You've been training outside for the past 4 months, while also detoxifying your body and practicing simultaneously. Being able to accomplish all this so quickly is already commendable. Fact, the most difficult step is finding the corresponding positions of the meridians in the body. After that, circulating soul power through these meridians isn't difficult," Su Wen added. Indeed, the subsequent steps were quite straightforward. However, Doulou Yan's mouth twitched involuntarily. Even straightforward operations depend on their complexity. Look at your spirit ascension method's soul power circulation. How can you call that easy? If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 130, 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. I still need to continue trying for a while. It might take about a month or so, but I should probably be able to grasp the basics of the spirit ascension method, Doulou Yan said. She really didn't have much confidence. It's not just a matter of operating like a fool, but manipulating the massive and complex operation of soul power within the body requires too much mental effort. It's easy for things to go smoothly at first and then suddenly break down. This is something that requires adaptation, continuous practice, and muscle memory to form, in order to relatively easily operate this spirit ascension method when absorbing spirit rings. Sister Yan, you just took the daffodil jade flesh bone, so it should be somewhat different from before. Perhaps you'll succeed in less than a month, not to mention the refining effect of the daffodil jade flesh bone on Doulou Yan's martial spirit. Just a feeling of cultivation after her heavily deeply wounded body was healed is completely different. After taking the daffodil jade flesh bone, Doulou Yan gradually adapted to the ice and fire ki permeating the ice and fire yin-yang well, no longer needing Douluo to disperse the ice and fire ki for her. However, she still couldn't get too close to the spring, only able to stay on the periphery for a long time. However, even on the periphery, her cultivation efficiency far surpassed that in the outside world, slightly surpassing even the simulated cultivation environment of the Heaven Dao Imperial Academy. Of course, if she could transform this place into her simulated cultivation environment, her efficiency would increase even more. Just like Su Wen, who originally only received the enhancement of the density and quality of heaven and earth energy here, now by visualizing this place, forming a unique simulated cultivation, he receives even greater blessings. The visualization method, as Su Wen's visualization becomes richer and richer. Even if not in the mimetic environment, the environment in the visualization method is enough to provide him with a feeling and effect of the mimetic environment for his cultivation. And if he cultivates in the mimetic environment, the impact on Su Wen's cultivation, the mimetic environment visualized is like a nurturing womb. Under the nourishment of the real environment, the visualized objects are nourished by its similar qualities, thus slowly enhancing the spiritual power that constitutes the visualization. Especially in this ice and fire yin-yang well, under the environment of ice and fire, Su Wen's spiritual power is speed-tempered more thoroughly, steadily enhancing his spiritual power while also making it resilient. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect Xiao. The reason I asked you to come this time is about Rongrong's spirit ring, Ningfengzi said. What's wrong with Rongrong? Rongrong's second spirit ring has exceeded its original limit in terms of years. Now, with the third spirit ring, you understand her situation. How many years of spirit rings do you think she should absorb? Ningfengzi really wasn't very clear about this. This kind of thing, you only know the corresponding years of spirit ring impact and the difficulty of absorbing rings across different realms through personal experience. From childhood to adulthood, Ningfengzi's spirit rings have all been close to the limit years, with the third ring exceeding 1,000 years, and the fourth ring approaching 5,000 years. Although one can speculate, it's ultimately not precise enough. Su Wen indicated his uncertainty as well. Jumping directly from 1,000 years to over 5,000, Su Wen couldn't give a definitive judgment on the specific situation of the intermediate spirit rings either one. Of course, he has experienced the absorption of rings across realms, and he knows the pressure it puts on a spirit master when exceeding the limit during such absorption. Uncle Ning, Rongrong's foundation should be able to withstand a 2,000-year-old spirit ring. With my spirit ascension method, 2,000 years old shouldn't be a problem, but I can't guarantee 3,000 years old, Ningfengzi agreed. He also thought so. But Rongrong hasn't fully mastered the spirit ascension method yet, with low efficiency and soul power exploration, almost simultaneously incorporating the basics of the spirit ascension method into her training program. Ning Rongrong's progress was still much slower than Du Guyan's. In that case, let Rongrong continue her cultivation, and let her practice the spirit fusion method on the side. Besides, I have a gift for Rongrong, which she can refine before absorbing the third ring. It will help her obtain a better spirit ring. Oh, Ning Fengzi was surprised, wondering what gift Su Wen was referring to. He immediately had someone call Ning Rongrong over. Brother Xiaoan, you've come to see me. Ning Rongrong's eyes lit up as soon as she saw Su Wen, and she hurried over to him. Seeing this, Ning Fengzi felt both gratified and slightly helpless. Rongrong, this time I've brought you a big treasure. Su Wen smiled, taking out the prepared beautiful silk tulip from the storage spirit tool. As Su Wen brought out the beautiful silk tulip, the entire hall seemed to be drawn to its radiance. The first impression beautiful silk tulip gave was one of elegance and luxury. Ning Fengzi instinctively felt a sense of desire, and even Douluo, at this moment, had a slight change in his expression, feeling the astonishing medicinal power of this herb, making them all faintly sense its surging potency. Ning Rongrong let out a surprised wow as she looked at the beautiful silk tulip, her eyes shimmering with light. I obtained this from Grandpa Douluo. This beautiful silk tulip absorbs the essence of heaven and earth, drawing the radiance of the sun and moon. It suits your 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda very well. Su Wen handed the beautiful silk tulip to Ning Rongrong and instructed, Rongrong, you need to ingest the essence of this beautiful silk tulip by consuming its stigma, then use your soul power to circulate it throughout your body. Ning Rongrong looked towards Ning Fengzi. Ning Fengzi didn't stop her from absorbing it either, nodding in agreement. According to Su Wen, absorbing this beautiful silk tulip would likely raise Ning Rongrong's soul power by at least 6 or 7 levels. This was only the most basic effect. There would be more medicinal effects assimilating into her body, providing assistance for her future cultivation. The medicinal quality of the beautiful silk tulip reminded him of chrysanthemum Douluo's singular velvet sky chrysanthemum, which had already reached a very high grade. Consuming such a rare treasure wouldn't cause any harm to the body. Moreover, he also believed that Su Wen wouldn't let Rongrong absorb anything harmful to her body. Following Su Wen's instructions, Ning Rongrong began to ingest the essence from the stigma of the beautiful silk tulip, circulating her soul power to distribute it throughout her limbs and body. During the absorption process, Ning Fengzi took the opportunity to discuss theories on martial spirits with Su Wen. Every discussion with Su Wen yielded insights for Ning Fengzi. In his view, Su Wen's theoretical level had already surpassed his own. And indeed it was so. Su Wen had now shifted his focus to researching fields such as spirit skills, not just limited to martial spirits and the manipulation of soul power. Ning Rongrong opened her eyes, feeling an unprecedented comfort. Faintly, she felt that her martial spirit seemed different, and she released it. Ning Fengzi looked at the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda in his daughter's hand, rubbed his eyes, counted several times carefully, then murmured, 9 layers, 5 9 layers, Bone Douluo and Sword Douluo, tired of listening to theories, immediately looked over when they saw Ning Rongrong finish absorbing the beautiful silk tulip. They noticed the difference as they looked at the 9-layered pagoda in her hand. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 131, Su Wen, it is indeed quite high. The 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda has a total of 7 layers, corresponding to its 7 spirit ring positions. This also represents that the cultivation of a spirit master in the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda can only reach up to level 79 at most. Even so, each spirit skill of a spirit saint level 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda spirit master has an amplification ratio of 80%. If martial spirit true body is used, the consumption of spirit skills is halved, almost allowing all amplified spirit skills to be applied to companions throughout the entire battle. An 80% ratio. Strictly speaking, such an improvement in data has long doubled the overall strength. Under Ning Fengzi's amplification today, normal spirit Douluo probably have a chance to hold its ground and clash with a title Douluo, and if a powerful spirit Douluo reaches level 89, they might even have the chance to equally fight on par with title Douluo. If one can cultivate to the 9th ring, just the amplification ratio alone reaches 100%, which will result in a completely different qualitative leap in overall strength. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect has been trying to evolve the martial spirit of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda to the level of the 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. Unfortunately, despite many generations of effort and each patriarch being a theoretical Grandmaster, they have not been able to find a way to evolve the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. Today, Su Wen gave Ningrongrong the beautiful silk tulip, which achieved just that. It was thought to be a chance for Ningrongrong to swiftly advance in soul power level, while also laying a foundation for future cultivation by leveraging the power of precious herbs. Unexpectedly, it directly caused her martial spirit to evolve. Ning Fengzi stepped towards Ningrongrong, his lips trembling slightly, staring fixedly at that 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. Ningrongrong also opened her mouth in astonishment, looking at the pagoda in her hand. She put away the pagoda in her hand, then suddenly threw herself at Su Wen, clinging to him and planting a kiss on his face. "Brother Xiaoan, you're amazing," she exclaimed excitedly. The shocked expressions of Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo froze, gradually becoming calm as they watched Su Wen's figure with indifference. Back to her senses. She stepped back from Su Wen, her hands behind her back, slightly lowering her head in embarrassment. Wrong, release your martial spirit again." Ning Fengzi changed the subject, wanting to see Ningrongrong's 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda once more. Ningrongrong summoned the 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. Indeed, it's the 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. "Xiaoan, Uncle Ning doesn't know how to thank you this time," Ning Fengzi said after carefully observing it. "I didn't expect this beautiful silk tulip to have such an effect." Su Wen scratched his head. "Xiaoan, you've helped Rongrong complete this step of evolution, and Uncle Ning doesn't know how to thank you. Here's the deal, you're planning to establish the Wisdom Palace, right? Our 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect will fully support you in developing and expanding the Wisdom Palace. Also, within our 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect, there are several good 10,000 years old spirit bones. I'll organize the information later, and you can choose a few." Ning Fengzi was indeed too excited. Su Wen, on the other hand, twitched his lips, feeling speechless about Ning Fengzi's words. "There are few, organize them, pick a few." Su Wen estimated that the number of spirit bones within the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect might be more than twice that of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. Otherwise, Ning Fengzi wouldn't say such words. The information about spirit bones also needs to be organized. It's not plausible to say there are only a dozen. Of course, some of those dozen may have already been rewarded, and the remaining ones that have yet to be absorbed might only be a few. "Uncle Ning, I'm not in a hurry to absorb spirit bones," Su Wen shook his head and said. He already had quite a few spirit bones on him, including one that was 100,000 years old. Except for the external spirit bone, which he absorbed along with the second spirit ring, he hadn't absorbed any of the others. "Xiaoan, you must accept this spirit bone. You don't have to rush to absorb it, but you should hold on to it for now," Ning Fengzi said with a serious expression, in a tone that brooked no refusal. "All right," Su Wen conceded him one by one, being thrust into his hands. "Oh, wrong, how do you feel about your meridians now?" The beautiful silk tulip was capable of a profound transformation, its effects rivaling those of marrow cleansing and essence washing techniques. Even if it wasn't an immortal grass specifically meant for refining the meridians, it couldn't possibly have no enhancement effect on them whatsoever. After Ningrongrong's description and Ning Fengzi's examination, it was basically certain that, with the assistance of the spirit ascension method, Ningrongrong could handle the pressure of a 3,000 years old spirit ring. "Wrong, you need to hurry up and practice your spirit ascension method," Ning Fengzi advised. "If you linger too long at level 30, even if the spirit ring absorbed in the third ring has a higher age limit, the cost effectiveness is not high of practicing the spirit ascension method." She found that her efficiency in mastering the spirit ascension method was lower than Du Guyan's, mainly due to her lower base soul power. However, during these 4 months of training, she had more free time than Du Guyan. But even so, she still missed some meridians to completely master all the meridians involved in the spirit ascension method. "It's okay, as long as you can master the spirit ascension method within 3 months, it's not a loss," Su Wen said. Ningrongrong shrugged. Obviously, she will be tormented by the spirit ascension method for a long time. "Brother Xiaoan, how did you develop such a complex thing in the first place?" Ningrongrong expressed her confusion about Su Wen developing the spirit ascension method. Not to mention her, Even Ning Fengzi was curious and puzzled. Over such a long period, he had also studied Su Wen's spirit ascension method. He could understand many parts of it, but there were some aspects that he didn't quite grasp, and he had to try them himself to figure out their functions. Especially towards the end, when combining all the parts into a complete spirit ascension method, he spent a whole month researching it, and only then did he understand many of its purposes. Uncle Ning, it's better for you to help Rongrong correct her practice of the spirit ascension method here. I'm planning to go into seclusion soon. Alright, Ning Fengzi nodded, then looked at Su Wen. Xiaoan, you should have broken through level 40 a long time ago, right? Su Wen blinked, then didn't deny it. Even with your current soul power, you have already surpassed a current understanding of the Spirit Master world. It's right for you to keep it hidden. Ning Fengzi didn't blame Su Wen. Instead, he thought Su Wen did the right thing. You were able to obtain the beautiful silk tulip from Douluo, so you must have also taken equally precious items yourself. Your soul power should be extremely high, even among spirit ancestors, Ning Fengzi said, probing Su Wen's expression. Su Wen looked convincingly affirmative. Indeed, it was at an extremely high level. When you obtain your next spirit ring, you can come to the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. Uncle Sword and Uncle Bone can lend you a hand, Ning Fengzi said. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 132, Spirit Bones. Upon hearing Ning Fengzi's words, Su Wen did not refuse. He pondered on the requirements for his 5th spirit ring, preferring a special attribute spirit ring that was close to 10,000 years old, if possible even older. Grandpa Douluo alone might not necessarily succeed. Having more helpers means more options. Bringing Sword Douluo along should make it safer, Su Wen thought to himself. Searching for a special attribute spirit beast was already troublesome, and if the hunt failed and the target escaped, it would likely take a long time to find it again. Alright, Xiaoan, here is the list of spirit bones from the sect's treasury. See which ones are more suitable, and I'll have someone fetch them, Ning Fengzi said generously. Exchanging a few spirit bones for a 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda martial spirit is definitely worthwhile. Su Wen took the list and almost dropped it in shock. The list contained numerous spirit bones, each with descriptions of their corresponding spirit skills. Among them, there were a total of 11 10,000 years old spirit bones. Moreover, these were likely the rewards or leftovers from rewards within the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. As for 1,000 years old spirit bones, there were even more, densely packed with dozens of them. Of course, most of these spirit bones were incomplete. From the list, Su Wen saw spirit bones he had never seen before. There were 3 100 years old spirit bones and 1 10 years old spirit bone. The higher the age, the greater the chance of a spirit bone eruption. This increase in probability wasn't linear but rather had a leap-like advancement. In theory, 100 years old spirit bones shouldn't even erupt. This is because the soul power within 100 years old spirit beasts is inherently too weak. 100 years old spirit bones. Under these 2 stringent conditions, 100 years old spirit bones are incredibly rare. 10 years old spirit bones are even more absurd, rarer than 10,000 years old spirit bones. However, these are still spirit bones that can provide an additional spirit skill for spirit masters. Quickly browsing through the list of spirit bones and their associated skills, Su Wen contemplated which spirit skills would be useful for himself. Indeed, he didn't fancy these spirit bones, at least not for absorbing them himself. However, he could study the spirit skills within the spirit bones, replicate them, and enrich his own arsenal. By replicating a large number of spirit skills from spirit bones, Su Wen could smoothly develop his own replicated spirit skills, thus delving into the engraving development of martial spirit skills. Dark Shadow Leopard Left Leg Bone, 1,000 years old, Spirit Skill Shadow Clone, Purple Fox Skull, 3,000 years old, Spirit Skill Spirit Shock, Bright Flower Right Arm Bone, 7,000 years old, Spirit Skill Healing Light. Su Wen selected 3,000 years old spirit bones and a 20,000 years old Megalodon skull spirit bones with his spirit skill Water Master. In total, 4 spirit bones. Ning Fengzi didn't even furrow his brow as he took them out and handed them to Su Wen. Xiaoan, you must be careful with these 4 spirit bones, don't leak any information. Not everyone has the profound background of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect to casually bring out 4 spirit bones. Still take the risk. People always have a sense of luck. What if they can hide their identity well? Besides, Su Wen doesn't just have 4 spirit bones, He has another 4-tile sect. Su Wen planned to go to the ice and fire yin-yang well for a period of seclusion. Whether it's breaking through level 50, studying the ring replacement method, or developing replication spirit skills, he needs to seclude himself properly. However, before he could truly seclude himself, Su Wen received a message from Xiaozan. Since handing over the coxcomb phoenix sunflower to Xiaozan before going to hunt the mirror image beast, Su Wen hasn't seen Xiaozan for almost half a year. While refining the coxcomb phoenix sunflower only takes a few short hours, mastering the soul power circulation route for Su Wen's spirit core condensation method requires a significant amount of time and effort. Moreover, the so-called spirit core condensation method is only a rudimentary form, or rather, it can only be a rudimentary form. Each spirit master's situation is different, so there can't be a completely standardized soul power circulation route suitable for every spirit master's spirit core condensation. Even though the threshold for the spirit core method has been lowered compared to the breakthrough methods in the current spirit master world, ultimately, success is only possible when it aligns extremely well with the spirit master. Xiaozan first learned the rudimentary method, studied its operational route, then gradually improved it based on his own feelings and years of cultivation until it completely matched his own situation, before preparing to break through. At this moment, while refining the coxcomb phoenix sunflower and preparing to break through with the aid of its medicinal properties, he sent Su Wen to the academy. "Uncle Zan, who is she?" Su Wen asked, pointing to another stunning woman in the room, aged around 25 or 26. Although he appeared puzzled on the surface, he actually had a good guess about the answer. "This is my daughter, Xiaoho. She was previously practicing at Spirit Hall Academy. Half a year ago, she graduated from the academy and recently arrived in Heavendao City," Xiaozan explained. Wen's existence from her father's letter. As Xiaoho was studying at Spirit Hall Academy in Spirit City at the time, Xiaozan didn't explain much but simply marveled at Su Wen's strong talent. This made Xiaoho very curious about Su Wen. She couldn't understand why a mere 14 years old could receive such praise from her father. It's worth noting that, despite being highly favored throughout her life, the highest praise she received still couldn't compare to Xiaozan's praise for Su Wen. "Yes, hello, Sister Ho." Su Wen looked at Xiaoho, sensing her soul power aura, silently amazed. Truly worthy of being Uncle Zan's daughter, her soul power has reached level 50. Yes, level 50. At only 25 years old, she has already broken through level 50 in soul power. But unfortunately, the Spirit Master competition will be held in a year and a half, by which time Xiaoho will have exceeded the age limit for the competition. Otherwise, she would undoubtedly be the most eye-catching participant in the Spirit Master competition. However, even so, Xiaoho actually participated in the previous Spirit Master competition. She was one of the members of the Spirit Hall team in the previous competition. Xiaoan, next. I will attempt to break through the bottleneck and condense the spirit core. I can't guarantee success. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 133. Xiaozan's brain is about to break down. Xiaozan was also uncertain whether he could successfully break through. Although coxcomb phoenix sunflower gave him a strange feeling, as if it could cause him to undergo evolution, his breakthrough required the condensation of the spirit core. Once unsuccessful, the backlash would be light. He could still recuperate, but if the backlash was quite severe, his meridians might burst and he could die. Therefore, before the final breakthrough, he called his daughter to introduce her to Su Wen. Listening to Xiaozan's words, which sounded like he was arranging his affairs, Su Wen was speechless for a moment. "Uncle Zan, as long as you don't change the framework of the soul power circulation route I gave you, your life will be fine." Su Wen's framework developed initially was primarily for life preservation. Even if the condensation failed, it wouldn't directly lead to loss of life. As long as he was alive and had the blue-silver emperor's right leg bone, even if his meridians burst, Su Wen could rescue him. After Xiaozan gave a few more reminders, he began his closed-door cultivation. Su Wen accompanied Xiaoho, waiting for Xiaozan's results. "Sister Huor, what's your martial spirit?" Su Wen asked curiously. Xiaoho didn't conceal it and directly summoned a bluish-green lotus formed by converging green flames. "Compared to the jade fire sign lotus, I prefer others to call my martial spirit the sign lotus jade fire," she replied. Su Wen looked at the bluish-green flames forming the lotus shape, feeling intrigued. These flames actually carried a hint of vitality. Sister Huor, is your fire of the auxiliary type? He asked in surprise. Attack type, Xiaoho replied. Although my flames carry a hint of vitality, it's very faint. Compared to healing others, using this vitality to heal myself has a more astonishing effect. My spirit skill also greatly amplifies my own outbreaks, partly because while I'm bursting, this vitality is also healing the injuries caused by the outbreak. 3 Su Wen he hadn't expected such a unique martial spirit. However, this should be a mutated martial spirit. After some conversation with Xiaoho, Su Wen immersed himself in his research. His current tasks were still quite heavy. While Xiaozan was in closed-door cultivation for his final breakthrough, Su Wen couldn't go to the ice and fire yin-yang well. Instead, he invested a considerable amount of energy into his research. I'm still lacking something, despite having gained a lot through the power of knowledge conversion, making him invincible at the same level. Su Wen couldn't help but feel unsatisfied. Because what makes him invincible at the same level is more the fire demon style layered with the fiery heavenly sun. At his current level 49, Su Wen can challenge spirit kings beyond his level, but defeating those who are among the best among spirit kings is undoubtedly impossible. Could this be the gap in martial spirits? Books ultimately don't provide any enhancement in battle. 1 Su Wen's current approach is to create spirit skills based on his own knowledge, achieving effects even surpassing those of other spirit masters with martial spirit enhanced spirit skills. This is already a remarkable achievement. The enhancement from the martial spirit, Su Wen knew that this was what he lacked now. The composition of combat power is very complex, with enhancements from the martial spirit itself, the power effects of spirit skills, and the support of auxiliary spirit masters, all of which can be mutually reinforced. When at present, Su Wen relies solely on the power effects of spirit skills to catch up with other geniuses who possess top attack martial spirits. If he could solve the issue of martial spirit enhancement, he could narrow the gap with other battle spirit masters in this aspect, and his overall combat power would also be higher. Furthermore, the support of auxiliary types, I can achieve that on my own. This is implicit because nowadays Su Wen fights with Yin Rong, so there's actually no difference between him fighting alone. The most important thing is still the ring replacement method. Su Wen returned to the main topic. As long as the foundation is strong enough and absurd enough, Su Wen believed that even with the self-created spirit skills he currently mastered, he would still have an advantage even after becoming a titled Douluo. First, he studied the ring explosion secret technique. Half a month later, the fluctuations of soul power in the room finally became calm. Although the fluctuations were no longer intense, the intensity of this fluctuation was indeed breathtaking, and Su Wen had only experienced this feeling from title Douluo. This also means that Xiaozan's current soul power fluctuations have reached the level of a title Douluo, indicating the successful condensation of his solid soul power. Before long, Xiaozan appeared in front of Su Wen and Xiaoho. Congratulations, Dad. Congratulations, Uncle Zan. To his initial attempts, his soul power was nearing solidification at level 79, facing a bottleneck as difficult as breaking through to become a title Douluo, making it hard to know where to start. Now, with the help of the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower and the Spirit Core method, he had finally succeeded. The effect of the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower was astonishing. Transforming Xiaozan's Fire Demon Book had been transformed into a Flaming Demon Book completely. I feel like my soul power will be more than level 81 after absorbing the spirit rings. After reaching Spirit Saint, even if you absorb spirit rings at your current limit, it's basically impossible to directly increase a spirit master's soul power by 2 levels. Xiaozan's implication now is that the efficacy of the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower didn't just increase his level by 1. Of course, part of this is due to the rebound caused by his long suppression and the breakthrough, triggering a chain reaction with the help of the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower's medicinal power, which allowed him to absorb a large amount of heaven and earth energy, greatly increasing his soul power. Uncle Zan, when will you acquire your 8th spirit ring? Su Wen asked. Breaking through to Spirit Douluo and absorbing the 8th ring, Xiaozan's strength would likely reach a higher level. With his potential, he could be considered among the top experts at the level of Spirit Douluo. The 8th ring, Xiaozan took a deep breath, also contemplating the acquisition of the 8th spirit ring. If you're not in a hurry, Uncle Zan, then just wait a bit. I'm about to break through too. When the time comes to acquire the spirit ring, Poison Douluo and a title Douluo from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect will help me. Uncle Zan, you can join us then, grabbing some benefits. At this moment, Xiao Zhan felt like his mind was in chaos after his breakthrough. Hold on, what do you mean you're about to break through? Kid, didn't you just get your 4th spirit ring about half a year ago? Xiao Zhan widened his eyes, looking at Su Wen and asked. Don't tell me that while I was breaking through, you've broken through twice? And, why is your treatment so outrageous? Xiao Zhan felt bitter in his heart. Just now, when he was contemplating who to invite for obtaining the 8th spirit ring, he realized that the lineup he could come up with was far inferior to Su Wen's. He could only think of Ho Xianyang and his own wife. At most, he could expose the fact of his breakthrough and invite one of the 3 from the Board of Education to help. Can 3 spirit Douluo compare to Su Wen's 2 titled Douluo? Forget about poison Douluo. Any one of the 2 titled Douluo from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect is at least above level 95. Xiao Zhan's head was buzzing. At the same time, Xiao Ho's head also began to buzz. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 134, The Significance of Ring Explosion. What did you just say, Dad? Xiao Ho knew that Su Wen was only 14 years old and had always thought that Su Wen was at most just a spirit elder who had recently broken through. However, Xiao Zhan's words broke her defenses. It wasn't just a spirit elder who had recently broken through, but a spirit ancestor who had recently broken through. Or maybe, according to Su Wen's words, it might even be possible to break through to a spirit king in a short time. What's going on here? Xiao Ho felt her mind in turmoil. What level is your soul power now? Xiao Zhan asked with a serious expression. I'm at level 49. I estimate that I should be able to break through to level 50 within a few months. Uncle Zhan, you don't need to worry. Xiao Zhan, he really fell silent. Just obtained the 4th spirit ring. Is there hope to obtain another 5th spirit ring within a year? He could barely understand Su Wen's previous cultivation speed, but now it seemed a bit incomprehensible. However, his brain worked well, quickly associating with the coxcomb phoenix sunflower, guessing that Su Wen might have also consumed similar precious herbs. But even so, it was still quite exaggerated. I'm not in a hurry, and you shouldn't be either. You must lay a solid foundation. You shouldn't destabilize it for the sake of improving soul power. Xiao Zhan could only manage to say this, although he knew that this situation was unlikely. After all, Su Wen's theoretical level would never allow him to make such irrational choices. Even so, do we really need the assistance of 2 titled Douluo? Xiao Zhan asked. Uncle Zhan, for my 5th spirit ring, I plan to hunt for at least 30,000-year-old special attribute spirit rings, Su Wen said modestly. Hearing Su Wen's request, Xiao Zhan's confusion was instantly cleared. 30,000 years old, spatial attribute spirit rings. It's not about getting a spirit skill of special spirit beasts. Su Wen's wording is about mastering special attributes. How is it going? Any relevant clues? This type of spirit beast is a species throughout the continent, not many of them exist. For Su Wen to want such a spirit ring, he would first need intelligence. The 7 treasure glazed tile sect has been helping me gather information, and Spirit Hall might also need your assistance, Uncle Zhan. Uncle Ning might also seek Rare Crown Prince's aid. Xiao Zhan's mouth twitched, feeling astonished at Su Wen's arrangements. Wow, now it can be said that there are 3 major forces on the entire continent serving Su Wen, the most well-informed. Although there is no organization specifically dedicated to intelligence operations on the continent, the 7 treasure glazed tile sects industries are spread throughout the continent, making it the most well-informed, and the same goes for Spirit Hall. As for the Crown Prince, he is a member of the Heaven Dao royal family, the next emperor, with the widest range of information sources at his disposal. Then I'll wait for you to break through before we look for the spirit ring together. Xiao Zhan quickly gave up the plan to hunt spirit rings with Ho Xianyang. Compared to hunting spirit rings with Ho Xianyang, it would be better to surprise him with a beating after obtaining the spirit ring. Su Wen nodded and returned to the ice and fire yin-yang well after Xiao Zhan successfully broke through. I've already mastered ring explosion. Now I need to experience the feeling of ring explosion more and then study ring replacement more, too. However, ring explosion still has effectively side effects, so I need to prepare some means of treatment. Su Wen secretly tried to replicate Yi Lingling's 9-heart flowering apple martial spirit, but failed. He knew it might be because there were only 2 9-heart flowering apple spirit masters on the continent. One, however, he had other healing type martial spirits in his possession. From the spirit bones he selected from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, There was a 7,000-year-old bright flowerite arm bone containing the healing light spirit skill, which had excellent healing effects. Although Su Wen couldn't fuse them, he could use the replication spirit skill to engrave the spirit skill from them. He had completed this step in the past half-month. Although it wasn't permanently engraved yet, he had replicated it, and it could be sustained with soul power consumption. If only I could replicate a 100,000-year-old spirit bone, Su Wen thought. However, the two types of retained healing type martial spirits, each with 4 spirit skills, plus the healing light from the bright flowerite arm bone, are sufficient as treatment methods. While they may not be able to completely stack for treatment, they can provide comprehensive and rapid healing. So, for the next half-month, Su Wen continuously experienced a process of ring explosion in the ice and fire yin-yang well. The tremendous power brought by ring explosion astonished Su Wen. Many of his spirit rings had already surpassed the lifespan of an ordinary spirit master, yet Su Wen's transformation had not been able to utilize this perfectly. Instead, ring explosion seemed to be very compatible with his exceeding the norm spirit rings. In the state of ring explosion, my strength can reach the peak of a spirit king. 3. He felt he could fight against a spirit emperor without any problems, but Su Wen chose to play it safe to prevent himself from becoming conceited and actually challenging a spirit emperor in the future. At first, the power of ring explosion would diminish over time. While Su Wen used various healing spirit skills to heal his injuries, he also had to absorb and refine heaven and earth energy on his own to restore his exploded spirit rings, compressing soul power and depositing it within the spirit rings. As time went on and he became familiar with this process, Su Wen could minimize the loss of this power without activating it, and eventually, after ring explosion, he could converge the erupted power, to some extent, restoring the exploded spirit rings. Reusable ring explosion. Clear Sky Sect's use of ring explosion is incorrect. After experiencing it at a high frequency for half a month, Su Wen felt that the greatest significance of ring explosion lay not in its eruption. The significance of ring explosion lies in gradually integrating the spirit rings as part of oneself. Through his heightened perception, he could sense that the essence of the spirit rings still remained independent within his martial spirit's origin. But after the energy of the spirit rings was exploded, it was refilled and compressed by his soul power. In essence, the spirit rings had become an alternative soul power storage for a spirit master. During this process, the essence of the spirit rings will gradually be controlled by the spirit master's control over the spirit rings. It can be said that in this half-month, many of Su Wen's research projects that had already reached a bottleneck have found new directions. For example, the further development of his first spirit skill. Replacement method. By exploding and manipulating his 4 spirit rings, Su Wen has also captured their essence. The essence of the spirit ring is the foundation for stabilizing the martial spirit, occupying the spirit ring position of the martial spirit. Xiaoan, I have both good news and bad news, Douluo interrupted Su Wen, who was deep in thought, bringing 2 pieces of news. What's the good news? Su Wen preferred to hear the good news first. Clues to a special attribute spirit beast that meets your age requirements have been found, Douluo said with a smile. Is it information provided by the Crown Prince? Su Wen suddenly asked. Douluo looked at Su Wen in surprise. Yes, it's information that came from the Crown Prince, he exclaimed. I have to admit, Zhu King's abilities are formidable. He has a thorough control over the Heaven Dao Empire, and his forces are extremely powerful. This can be seen from the clues about the investigation of special attribute spirit beasts this time. He was actually able to investigate and gather clues ahead of both the 7 treasure glazed tile sect and spirit hall. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 135, I want to see who's so disrespectful. Su Wen didn't explain why he could guess that it was Crown Prince who gave the clue. There was no way. Whether it was from Spirit Hall's side or Heaven Dao Empire's side, if there were clues, they must have been brought by Crown Prince. Alright, what about the bad news? Su Wen remembered Douluo also mentioned some bad news. The investigation by Crown Prince's side into the space spirit beasts found 2 that meet your age requirement, one of which is the void silver shark located in the deep sea, which we definitely cannot go to. Deep sea? Su Wen frowned, choosing to pass on this option. Isn't there still one more? The other one is the void swallowing mouse. According to intelligence, its traces have been seen in different parts of the continent, and it can be basically determined to be the same one, with an age of approximately 40,000 years old, said Douluo. Void swallowing mouse? Su Wen frowned, This type of spirit beast isn't easy to find. Especially with the information obtained, the void-swallowing mouse has appeared in various places on the continent. Of course, there is also the thorn dragon deep in the starred-out Great Forest, although its attributes may be slightly lower than what you require, but the special attributes of the thorn dragon itself are still very strong, Douluo said. Spirit beasts mainly focused on special attributes are actually hard to find, their mobility is too strong. Some can even briefly shuttle through space after reaching 10,000 years old, and it's possible to encounter the same one in various spirit beast habitats across the continent. The thorn dragon is relatively easier to find among spirit beasts with special attributes. Let's wait a bit longer. Anyway, I haven't had a breakthrough yet, so there's no rush. Su Wen could only choose to continue waiting for clues from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect in the end. Seeing Su Wen's lack of impatience, Douluo also nodded. As long as Su Wen wasn't in a hurry, it was fine. Yenner is also close to mastering the spirit ascension method recently. When you break through this time, let's get spirit rings together. Douluo also learned about Xiaozan's breakthrough and prepared to join them shortly afterward to obtain spirit rings together. Since that was the case, he naturally planned to deal with Duguyan's spirit ring at that time as well. Su Wen continued to cultivate soul power while developing the ring replacement method. At the same time, he also replicated the giant water rhinoceros spirit bone in his possession. Since the giant water rhinoceros spirit bone was only 5,000 years old, Su Wen found it easier to replicate. He successfully replicated it in just 7 days, mastering its spirit skill, the water ripple. For Su Wen, this is a spirit skill used to perceive water elements. Su Wen has an affinity for the ice attribute. Coupled with being able to sense water element fluctuations and borrowing from the fire demon's tempering technique, he quickly gained an affinity for the water attribute. Wen's soul power still hadn't had a breakthrough. However, there was news from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect that Ningrongrong successfully operated the spirit ascension method for the first time, and there was also some progress with spirit beasts possessing special attributes. Void Silver Moon Taper, proficient in illusions, can create a realm of illusion, shuttle between reality and illusion, and even has some means of turning illusions into reality. Su Wen was quite interested in the abilities of this Void Silver Moon Taper. Compared to spirit beasts like the Void Swallowing Mouse, which focus on escaping and attacking with special attributes, he was more interested in spirit beasts like the Void Silver Moon Taper, which focus on opening up a space in the special attribute direction. This one's whereabouts are relatively accurate. According to the investigation by the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, this Void Silver Moon Taper has appeared several times on the east coast of the Heavendao Empire, and it is very likely to live on a small island near the coast of the East Sea, Evil Spirit Island, Heavendao City. Blue Tyrant Academy 2. The dust-covered Shrek team looked at the layout of the Blue Tyrant Academy, marveling continuously. It lives truly up to being under the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. It's really different, Oscar couldn't help but exclaim. In his heart, he silently added, much stronger than our Shrek Academy. Grandmaster approached slowly, but was stopped by the gatekeeper. Halt, what are you all doing here? We are from Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy. It seemed they were notified in advance. The gatekeeper glanced at Grandmaster and the students behind him, seeing that they indeed had the configuration of teachers and students from an academy, so he let them in immediately. Dean said once you arrive, go straight to the administrative office, where there will be teachers to help you register. Grandmaster frowned. He didn't know who the dean of this academy was yet, but they must be a member of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. How could they be so negligent? Let's go. He quickly composed himself and said lightly to the several people behind him. The administrative office wasn't hard to find, and soon a group of more than 10 people arrived there. Li Yusong, Martial Spirit Dragon Pattern Staff, Level 63 Attack Type Spirit Emperor, Lu Jibin, Martial Spirit Star Luo Chessboard, Level 66 Controlled Type Spirit Emperor, Xiaozhen, Martial Spirit Sweet Pea, Level 71 Food Type Spirit Saint, Zhao Wuji, Martial Spirit Vigorous Vajra Bear, Level 76 Attack Type Spirit Saint, Flender, Martial Spirit Owl, Level 78 Agility Attack Type Spirit Saint. Recording the information of the Shrek teachers, the teacher in charge of registration, along with the administrative director who arrived nearby, wore expressions of astonishment. Dean had only mentioned that a group of powerful spirit masters from Shrek would come to apply, but they hadn't expected them to be this powerful. 2 spirit emperors, 3 spirit saints. The entire Blue Tyrant Academy only had a few teachers at the level of Spirit Emperor. Alright, what about you? The administrative director looked at Grandmaster, the leader, asking about Grandmaster's soul power level. Grandmaster felt a bit embarrassed, but his expression remained unchanged, still as stiff as before, as he said lightly, Uzia Gang, Martial Spirit Luo Sampao, Soul Power Level 29, The administrative director was first stunned, thinking he had asked the wrong question, wondering which student he was referring to. Then he looked at Grandmaster, you're only level 29? However, out of respect for the intimidation from the 5 powerful spirit masters behind Grandmaster, combined with Dean's instructions, he refrained from showing any disrespectful language. Are you here to apply for a theoretical teacher position? Xia Gang's theoretical level is top-notch across the entire continent, known as Grandmaster. The 10 core competencies of martial spirits were established by him. Flender spoke up to the administrative director nodded, appearing to suddenly understand. So it's Grandmaster. Naturally, you are qualified to be our academy's theoretical teacher. He registered Grandmaster's name as well, then looked at the students behind them. Children, release your spirit rings, Flender said. Another burst of spirit rings shimmered, filling the administrative office with yellow and purple light. Most of them are only 12 years old, with a minimum soul power level of 26. The administrative director took a deep breath, swiftly grading the information. Everyone, our dean has instructed that after you finish registering, she will meet with you. Grandmaster frowned again. He had already arranged things in advance through the family's channels, so the previous arrangements could be considered as made in the absence of the dean. However, it seemed that this dean was present in the academy. Grandmaster valued his dignity above all else. Seeking help from the family this time was already a big decision. Yet today, he was still treated like this. I want to see who in the family is disrespecting me like this. 1. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Erlong, is that you? As the dean arrived at a back mountain of the academy, Grandmaster felt increasingly uneasy. Arriving at a back mountain, a melodious song came, and Grandmaster suddenly stopped in his tracks. Flender reached out and grabbed Grandmaster's shoulder, keeping him in place to prevent him from turning and fleeing. Xia Gang, you let us here this time. What will we do if you leave? Grandmaster was pressed on by Flender, step by step moving forward. Beside a small lake, there was a crude thatched cottage, blending with the surroundings. Around the cottage was another circle of fences, planted with various flowers. Among the flowers stood a woman, holding a watering can and watering them. Feeling someone approaching, she turned her gaze towards Shrek's group coming. Her gaze settled on Grandmaster. Xia Gang, is that you? She murmured. Even though she had anticipated it, the moment of meeting still felt somewhat surreal to her. Erlong, why is it you? Grandmaster spoke with difficulty. Liu Erlong remembered her agreement with her father and restrained her emotions. Facing Grandmaster's question, she tried to remain as calm as possible. What, can't I open an academy? Even so, tears still welled up in her eyes as she couldn't help but look at the person in front of her. Erlong, let's discuss the matter at hand first. Flender coughed twice to shift attention. This time, we, Shrek, are merging into Blue Tyrant Academy. Xiazan and the others boss Flender, since you've come to my academy, based on our relationship, isn't my academy yours too? Blue Tyrant Academy has no connection to the clan, it's entirely up to me. From now on, you're the dean of our academy. I'll also instruct that from tomorrow, our academy will be renamed Shrek Academy. 2. From a resentful woman waiting for her lover to sharp, assertive female powerhouse, the transformation was like night and day, leaving Ma Hongjin, Oscar, and others dumbfounded. Time passed. The bottleneck of level 50 is still difficult to break through. Su Wen used to be able to advance one level in just over 3 months, but now, at level 49, he hasn't budged. After returning to Heaven Dao City, it has been 5 months, and it's been 6 months since Su Wen broke through level 49. In the span of 6 months, members of the Emperor fighting team have been making breakthroughs one after another. Osler and Yu Feng reached level 38, Yi Lingling reached level 37, and Shi brothers consecutively reached level 39. Yu Shai and Heng, in the meantime, obtained Douluo's singular velvet sky chrysanthemum and broke through level 40. Following the family's arrangements, he went to the Star Dao Great Forest to obtain the 4th spirit ring. Upon his return, his soul power directly reached level 44. Xiaoan, if you don't break through soon, I'll go ahead and hunt spirit rings for Yaner. After waiting for 5 months post-breakthrough, although Du Yan has become more proficient in the spirit ascension method during this time, the cost-effectiveness has started to decline. Not only has Du Yan waited for Su Wen for 5 months, but Ning Rongrong has also done the same. Ning Fengzi also inquired with Su Wen whether Ning Rongrong should wait for him to hunt spirit rings together. Xiao Zan, on the other hand, remained calm. Grandpa Doulou, level 50 is a major bottleneck. Isn't it normal for me to break through slowly? Su Wen felt helpless about being stuck for 6 months this time. Is this the price of breaking through too quickly? Sigh, it took half a year just to break through. Su Wen circulated his soul power within his body, breaking through an invisible barrier. The fluctuation of soul power became intense, rising and falling before finally stabilizing at a certain level. You broke through. Douluo was extremely surprised. It was bound to happen. Su Wen smiled, but he didn't seem overly excited, indicating he had anticipated it. Phew, it's unclear whether Douluo was relieved or adjusting his own emotions. Grandpa Doulou, I'm going to 7 treasure glazed tile sect. Our target this time is the void silver moon taper, Su Wen said. Okay. Uncle Ning, I've broken through. We can head to Evil Spirit Island now, Su Wen said to Ning Fengzi upon arriving at the 7 treasure glazed tile sect 1 at level 50. Feeling the fluctuation of Su Wen's soul power, Ning Fengzi couldn't help but be moved. It's too heaven-defying. Su Wen could find some special examples to rival his combat power, not to mention being heaven-defying, but his cultivation speed is truly heaven-defying. If Su Wen knew what Ning Fengzi was thinking, he would surely silently refute it. Because in these 5 months, although he was stuck at level 49, it's not like he didn't gain anything. Firstly, there was further development in the 4 elements of earth, fire, water, and wind, as well as insights into many spirit skills too. Secondly, through the development of the ring replacement method, his understanding of the martial spirit essence and spirit ring essence became deeper. He further developed the first spirit skill. Combined with the many bonuses from feeling replication from various martial spirits, he also completed the book Martial Spirits bonus to himself. The book encompasses all things. The most superficial result is that Su Wen has developed the book Martial Spirits enhancement for spiritual power. On a deeper level, Su Wen has developed a new state that allows him to mobilize various means simultaneously in combat. 1 book, 1 world, 1 page, 1 heaven and earth. Now, Su Wen has initially developed this secret technique that belongs to him. Fire Demon style? Melee Mage, tricky. Uncle Bone possesses the power to shuttle through space, which makes it more convenient to deal with, Ning Fengzi said. Sword Douluo might be stronger, but facing the void silver moon taper, a spirit beast of 40,000 years old, Bone Douluo is indeed more suitable. Su Wen nodded and followed Ning Fengzi's arrangement. Uncle Ning, let Rongrong come with us this time too. There's a primitive spirit beast forest on Evil Spirit Island, where she should find a suitable spirit ring, Su Wen suggested. Ning Fengzi nodded, saying, that's what both of us were thinking, this time. Besides Bone Douluo, Poison Douluo, a title Douluo, is also accompanying them, so safety is naturally guaranteed. Moreover, it seems that Xiao Zan also intends to go along. This lineup is even stronger than what he could arrange for Ning Rongrong alone. Grandpa Bone, I'll leave it to you this time, Su Wen respectfully said to Gurong behind Ning Fengzi. At this moment, Gurong glanced sideways at Chen Xin. That glance conveyed everything to Chen Xin, with whom he had been fighting for half a lifetime. You see, this time, I'll personally go to hunt for Rongrong's 3rd spirit ring. What's the use of your 7-kill sword against a special attribute spirit beast? 1. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 137, Xiaoan, why are you using whale glue? Old Bone, do you want to fight? Chen Xin coldly snorted at the sight. Just using you once and you're already out of breath? The 1st and 2nd spirit rings of Rongrong were personally hunted by me. Moreover, this time it's Su Wen who's using you, not Rongrong. Seeing the two about to quarrel and escalating towards a big fight, Ningfengzi immediately intervened. Uncle Bone, Uncle Sword, Xiaowen is still here, and Uncle Bone is about to leave, so you two shouldn't fight. HMPH also joined them. Whoever hasn't obtained a spirit ring yet after breaking through level 50, and coincidentally, I've also broken through. I intend to let her come along. Very well, the team has grown stronger again. Su Wen had no objections, and the two titled Douluo also had no objections needed. Then it's different. Moreover, during the search for spirit beasts, various spirit beasts may be encountered. Some may not be suitable for a certain seeker's needs, but they may perfectly match the needs of another seeker. This also greatly increases the efficiency of the search. During the journey, they would encounter many low-aged spirits beasts, which would likely be suitable for Xiao Ho, Du Yan, and Ning Rongrong. Let's go. On the way, you can discuss your requirements for spirit rings, Gurong said. Oh, Su Wen is here too. You can also ask for his opinion. He hears Ningfengzi praise Su Wen's theoretical level every day and knows about his expertise in this area. However, the spirit masters present actually have their own ideas. Du Yan and Ning Rongrong had already consulted Su Wen for advice. Xiao Zhan is a theoretical scholar himself, capable of making reasonable judgments about his own situation. As for Xiao Ho, under Xiao Zhan's guidance, she hasn't neglected theoretical knowledge. Informed choices are often the most fitting ones. 10 days later. East Xia City. Located along the southeastern coast of the Heavendao Empire. Su Wen and his group arrived at East Xia City, inquiring about ships heading to Evil Spirit Island. Evil Spirit Island is located near the coast, but due to its extremely primitive environment and the presence of many fierce and murderous spirit beasts, few human spirit masters venture there. The island earned its name because of this. Evil Spirit Island. Upon hearing Su Wen's inquiry about Evil Spirit Island, the boatman quickly shook his head, showing a frightened expression, indicating that he couldn't take this job. Even with more gold spirit coins, it's not possible. Gurong frowned, sensing trouble, handed in a card to the boatman. Inside are 3,000 gold spirit coins. We've bought your boat, and we also need a map to Evil Spirit Island. Evil Spirit Island is located near the coast. If everything goes as planned, with the presence of the two titled Douluo, even without sailors, they should be able to reach it smoothly too, even in case of unexpected events. With the two titled Douluo and Su Wen's ability to assist everyone in flight, there's no need to worry about encountering crises. As long as they secure the ship promptly if something happens. Su Wen sighed in admiration. 7 treasure glazed tile sect truly professional is wealthy and powerful. After obtaining the ship and the map, the group rested for a night before preparing to set off. Arriving at the seaside, Gurong waved his right hand, and a huge ship descended into the sea. Board the ship. Su Wen and the others jumped onto the deck one after another. The sails opened, propelled by the wind, and the huge ship began to move. Su Wen stepped forward, familiarizing himself with the ship's controls. 3 days later. Waves. Is the near sea always this dangerous? Su Wen wiped the sweat from his forehead. I have to say, the power of nature is boundless. Even in the nearby sea area, a single massive wave could submerge a ship. Fortunately, their setup is strong, allowing them to cut through the wind and waves and sail steadily. Grandpa Bone, Grandpa Doulou, there's a spirit beast ahead. Su Wen observed a powerful soul power fluctuation from afar through his phantom eye. Gurong and Douluo also became vigilant, sensing the movement ahead. Boom. Suddenly, a massive creature leaped up, its mouth gaping, ready to swallow the 15-meter-long sailboat whole. Yes, swallow it whole. It was an enormously sized whale, over 50 meters long, with dark purple patterns shimmering on its surface. As it opened its huge mouth, a strong suction force pulled the ship where Su Wen and the others were towards its mouth. Rong stored the ship into a storage spirit tool. Gurong transformed into a huge bone dragon, spewing out a gray dragon breath to drive the giant whale back. As the suction force ceased, Su Wen and the others swiftly flew towards the distant sky, casting their gazes towards the colossal whale. This is the sky-swallowing whale, massive in size, possessing the ability to swallow and terrifying digestive capabilities. Their method of cultivation involves devouring various sea spirit beasts and heaven and earth energy, cultivating through feeding. The patterns on its body turned dark purple, indicating that this sky-swallowing whale had cultivation of at least over 10,000 years. Of course, A sky-swallowing whale with 10,000 years of cultivation couldn't stir up any waves in front of Gurong. With a breath of dragon breath, the sky-swallowing whale roared in anger and quickly fled. Gurong had no intention of pursuing it. Although a 10,000 years old sky-swallowing whale could be killed, its death would attract even more spirit beasts, and with its 50-meter length, its vitality was also quite strong. Completely killing it would require a considerable effort. Grandpa Bone, kill the sky-swallowing whale. Its whale glue is useful. Su Wen spoke up at this moment. Gurong frowned, looking at Su Wen, sensing a change in Su Wen's perception. Xiaozan flew beside Su Wen, his expression strange. Xiao, do you still need this thing? Cough, don't get any funny ideas, it's for Rongrong. I've learned some medicinal properties from Grandpa Doulou, and although whale glue is currently used for that purpose, theoretically, its medicinal effects have a very noticeable impact on nourishing the meridians in the body, Su Wen concluded. Taking whale glue can enhance the body's ability to withstand spirit rings to the extreme. This dispelled the doubts of the few old fellows who knew its function. No wonder they suddenly understood. Cough, Gurong transformed into a bone dragon and swiftly chased after the 10,000 years old sky-swallowing whale cry. The sky-swallowing whale lost its life. Its brain was torn apart by the ancient dragon's sharp claws, and one clump of viscous crystalline substance, emitting a golden glow like a golden crystal, was extracted by Gurong. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 138, The Effect of Whale Glue. The golden-colored whale glue was taken out by Gurong. Let's go. He first put the whale glue into the storage spirit tool, reminding to quickly move away from this place. The size of the devouring sky whale is huge, and after its death, a large amount of everyone's blood and ore will attract a large number of spirit beasts. Although the oppressive feeling of the 10,000-year-old spirit beast will make the surrounding spirit beasts dare not approach, as time passes, the spirit beasts in the surrounding sea area will realize that this 10,000-year-old spirit beast may have died and will come crazily to feed on its body. Su Wen's phantom eye scanned around, but found no condensed energy, flying away with everyone towards the distance. After flying for a while, Gurong took out a sailboat, and everyone landed on the boat. While continuing the voyage, Gurong took out a whale glue collected earlier. Xiao, are you sure this stuff can enhance the Spirit Master's absorption limit of spirit rings? Gurong asked with a hint of doubt. Well, whale glue has a good tonic effect on Spirit Masters. It can strengthen the body, increase the strength of muscles, bones, and meridians, and enhance the Spirit Master's endurance, including the resistance to the impact of Spirit Ring soul power, Su Wen said. However, the medicinal effects need to be locked in to take effect, otherwise, converting the medicinal power into energy would be equivalent to wasting it. Su Wen spoke with conviction, making Gurong and the others suspect you if you had used it before. However, since Su Wen said so, they naturally intended to give it a try. After all, there were so many people here now who needed to absorb spirit rings, and increasing their absorption limit would be beneficial for them. Even if it can enhance endurance, it should be limited. Let's have Yainer and Rongrong try it, Douluo said. Douluo had no objections to this. Su Wen took the whale glue and burned it with flames. Soon, the whale glue emitted a tempting aroma. The three old fellows secretly swallowed their saliva, quickly averting their gazes. Su Wen divided the whale glue into 2 parts and handed them to Ning Rongrong and Du Guyan. Go absorb it indoors. You must endure the burning sensation of the fierce flames and use your soul power to absorb the medicinal effects with all your might, he instructed. This stuff not only enhances virility but also acts as an aphrodisiac. There's a reason why it has been developed as an aphrodisiac in the current Spirit Master community, because after taking it, there will be an instinctive reaction, and then a burning desire will ignite. At this point, who can maintain composure and refine the energy within? Instead, they might experience an uncontrollable burst of energy after an eruption, feeling energized, and inadvertently releasing all the medicinal effects, wasting them. While instructing the 2 girls, Su Wen also infused a page of his book Martial Spirit into their bodies. A cool sensation made the 2 girls shiver. What's this? Su Wen explained. It's for refreshing your mind and helping you maintain rationality for a while. This was the effect of his martial spirit's innate wisdom talent, which he had developed and utilized with the help of the first spirit skill after absorbing his first spirit ring. It couldn't make outsiders wise, but it could invigorate their spirits and make them clear-headed. It was quite suitable for the current situation of absorbing the whale glue. Ninrongrong and Du Yan entered the house to start absorbing the whale glue, while Su Wen took the helm again, steering the sailboat along the route. As for navigating, it was easy for him. Before departing, he had left pages of his book Martial Spirit at both ends of Skycia City as reference coordinates. Of course, as the distance increased, his perception of the pages he had separated became increasingly blurred. However, he had already mastered the sailing technique and felt the sensation of sailing. Occasionally catching a glimpse of perception, Su Wen used it to verify that he had not deviated from the course. And indeed, since he entered this state, he had not deviated. Inside the room, there came the panting of two women, intermittent but restrained, presumably recalling Su Wen's instructions. They were suppressing the flames within, activating soul power to enter a state of cultivation moment. They also understood the original use of the whale glue. It turned out to be that kind of thing. However, after the initial embarrassment, they felt the changes in themselves and were pleasantly surprised to find that what Su Wen had said was true. After cleaning up, the two women appeared on the deck. "Rongrong, how do you feel?" Gurong asked with concern. Ninrongrong smiled excitedly, saying, "Grandpa Bone, Brother Xiaoan was right. I feel that the strength of my muscles, bones, and meridians have all improved, and some impurities have been expelled from my body. Of course, the effect of removing impurities exists, but both women have absorbed immortal grass. The so-called impurities are just their sweat, not real dirt, but the medicinal power circulating in their bodies gives them a sense of clarity." "Oh," Gurong grabbed Ninrongrong's wrist, feeling the meridians and muscle endurance at her wrist, also sensing significant changes. "The maximum limit of spirit ring years you can withstand has increased by at least half. The astonishing effect of the whale glue taken now, just half of it has such an effect. Yenner's maximum limit of spirit rings should also have increased by about 1,000 years, without the restriction of the maximum limit of spirit ring years in their hearts." The two titled Douluo proved the strength of the two women's bodies. It can be judged that their endurance is still accurate. Restriction has never been the means of spirit masters, but of thought. When a certain limit is marked, no spirit master will try to challenge it, even if they have the conditions to do so. They dare not be certain. With the increase in the maximum limit of spirit ring years, they can withstand by about 1,000 years, plus the offset ratio of Su Wen's spirit ascension method. It can be calculated that their endurance limit has been increased by at least 1,200 years. Su Wen's breakthrough took some time, which also made the two women highly proficient in the spirit ascension. The more proficient method they became, the more adept they were at it. The feeling they found when absorbing spirit rings became more apparent, and they could also use the spirit ascension method to deliver more soul power from spirit rings into the martial spirit space, thereby reducing their own pressure. Simply put, the more proficient they became in the spirit ascension method, the greater the proportion of spirit ring soul power they could offset. In that case, Rongrong has a chance to absorb her third spirit ring up to 4,000 years. Yenner can also try to absorb a spirit ring of 7,000 years. Gurong and Douluo promptly raised their target years, no longer intending to search according to the limit set at the beginning of their journey. "I wonder if this whale glue can be used multiple times." Douluo knew that such things generally had drug resistance, but based on experience, even if there was resistance, it wouldn't be ineffective the second time. "How many whale-type spirit beasts do you expect to encounter in the nearby sea?" Su Wen said speechlessly. "Whale-type spirit beasts usually inhabit the deep sea, and it's a mystery how the sky-swallowing whale appeared in the nearby sea just now. Unless something unexpected happens, they won't encounter any more whale-type spirit beasts on their way to Evil Spirit Island and back to Eastia City." If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 139, Unexpected Arrival. Continuing to sail on the sea, Su Wen also felt bored. Above the sea, everything was so unpredictable. Waves and storms could come at any time, yet it was also so monotonous that one would grow tired over time. Boom. Gurong retracted the sailboat, and Su Wen and the others flew into the sky somewhat incredulous. They had only been at sea for 5 days, yet they had encountered two 10,000-years-old level whale spirit beasts in succession. There must be a reason. Not to mention whale spirit beasts, but any sea spirit beast over 10,000 years old would not survive in such close proximity to the coast. Only in the deep sea can large, high-aged sea spirit beasts survive. Su Wen was shocked, while Gurong was ecstatic. Isn't this like falling asleep and falling on a pillow randomly? Since it's here, let's keep the whale glue. When hunting spirit beasts on the continent, he would sometimes feel a bit guilty, knowing that the spirit beasts on the continent were decreasing year by year. Generally, he would restrain himself and not indulge in excessive killing. However, the sea spirit beasts in the ocean were said to be endless. He wouldn't hesitate to act when it came to them. Douluo's eyes also lit up at this moment, ready to act before Gurong. Brother Gu, let me handle it this time. He transformed into a towering giant snake, with a green poisonous gas spreading around him. Seeing this, Gurong frowned and shouted at Douluo, "Old poison, rein it in. Don't poison the whale glue, I know more about pharmacology than you do." Douluo snorted, but still restrained his poison a bit. In just a short time, he killed a giant whale that was 20 meters long too. After retrieving the whale glue, everyone quickly left the area. The lifespan of this giant whale is higher than the sky-devouring whale we encountered 2 days ago, at least 20,000 years old. You two should try and see how effective it is. Douluo threw the whale glue to Su Wen for processing, then looked at Du Guyan and Ning Rongrong. Although we don't know why there are so many whale spirit beasts near the coast, and they're even 10,000 years old, it's not something we need to worry about. Instead, it's advantageous for us, Gurong agreed, agreeing with Douluo's viewpoint, but still reminded, this is still the ocean, we should be cautious. If we continue to have whale glue for consumption, Rongrong might be able to try absorbing a spirit ring of 5,000 years old, and Sister Yan might even be able to absorb any spirit ring below 10,000 years old. Su Wen sighed. How come he didn't have the privilege of casually consuming this whale glue back then? However, the privilege of whale glue consumption was ultimately aimed at increasing the lifespan of absorbed spirit rings. Since Su Wen sighed, Wen could soon replace all spirit rings himself, lifespan was no longer an issue for him, so he didn't feel too envious. Next, Su Wen and the others became more cautious. Because they encountered two 10,000 years old whale spirit beasts in a row, they realized there was a problem. During their subsequent voyage, they indeed encountered other 10,000 years old level sea spirit beasts. Among them were a 20,000 years old octopus monster, a 30,000 years old sawfish, and the highest aged demon whale encountered near Evil Spirit Island, with a cultivation base of 50,000 years old. Xiaozan. After dealing with the demon whale, he processed the whale glue and divided it into 4 parts for the 4 juniors present to use. The lifespan of this demon whale is too high. Even Su Wen and Xiao Ho, who require 10,000 years old spirit rings, have hope of raising their tolerance limit by 4 to 5,000 years with the help of this whale glue too. This is already a significant figure that cannot be ignored. Of course, Su Wen experienced a burning desire. Damn, it feels so damn uncomfortable. He activated his martial spirit to keep himself clear-headed. Even so, he still felt uncomfortable, his rationality gradually eroded by the desires of the flesh. Although the effect of the martial spirit kept him rational, the recurring temptation was really unpleasant one. During the absorption of the whale glue, he tried to channel spiritual power into the phantom eye, and found that his consciousness instantly cleared up, no longer being corroded by desires. The next day, Su Wen felt changes in his body. Not bad, I should be able to increase my limit by 1,000. His physical fitness was the strongest among the 4, so naturally, his improvements were the smallest. Moreover, this was the result of him mobilizing soul power during the absorption process to maximize the effectiveness of the medicine, rather than just the result of refining. I wonder if the principle of whale glue's effect can be replicated. Su Wen decided to spend some time in the future analyzing the energy flow through the various major areas of his body during today's absorption of the whale glue, as well as the mode of energy circulation during its effectiveness, and then simulate the entire process. The soul power circulation route is a good thing. It can be used to achieve the operation of martial techniques and secret arts through the circulation of soul power. With his strong perception and some innate talent in this area, Su Wen found it easy to develop the soul power circulation route, and he utilized this to the fullest. Evil Spirit Island is just ahead, Gurong said. Su Wen gazed into the distance, where a large island came into view, covered with dense primeval forests emitting a primal atmosphere. Along the way, the sea spirit beasts we've encountered that exceed the norm should be related to Evil Spirit Island, Douluo said. The closer they got to Evil Spirit Island, the higher the age of the sea spirit beasts they encountered, which easily led to such suspicions. Well, actually, I've already guessed the reason roughly, and at the same time, I can preliminarily conclude that the Void Silver Moon Taper is either on Evil Spirit Island or in its vicinity, Su Wen said. Oh? Xiaoan, are you suggesting that these sea spirit beasts are all attracted by the Void Silver Moon Taper? Douluo pondered, quickly understanding the root cause after Su Wen's reminder. The sea spirit beasts we've encountered also share a common trait: they tend to fall into periodic deep sleep, possibly even sleeping for decades or centuries. The Void Silver Moon Taper is said to have the ability to devour nightmares, Ningrongrong exclaimed. Could it be that these sea spirit beasts gather here because they can get a good night's sleep? She found this reason to be absurdly bizarre. Otherwise, if their sleep quality is poor, they'll wake up every few years, but if they sleep well, it could be a dream that lasts for decades or even centuries. And since the Void Silver Moon Taper can help them devour nightmares, it's not unreasonable for sea spirit beasts to gather here. There's a gap in concepts between spirit beasts and humans, so what seems absurd actually makes a bit of sense. At this moment, the small boat they were on had also reached the shore of Evil Spirit Island. They all jumped onto the beach of Evil Spirit Island, gazing up at the trees dozens of meters high, feeling amazed. The vitality here is exceptionally rich, Su Wen remarked. Every large forest of spirit beasts gathers the vitality of the Douluo continent, making the vitality exceptionally rich and suitable for the growth of spirit beasts. Although Evil Spirit Island is just an island, there are definitely spirit beasts over 50,000 years old living on it. Gurong reminded everyone once again to be careful. Clearly, he values safety more than anything else. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 140, Breaking and Regenerating. Entering the primitive forest, Su Wen and the others felt completely relaxed, as if they had entered a strange field of energy naturally nurtured by the forest. Su Wen felt that this seemed to be a kind of domain-like force, naturally bred by the forest. Void Silver Moon Taper isn't easy to find. Let's first search for spirit rings for Rongrong and the others along the way, no one objected. Yaner, Gurong decided to be more conservative, letting Ning Rongrong only absorb one around 6,000 years old. Having consumed too much whale glue, although there was some drug resistance afterwards, at least it raised Ning Rongrong's tolerance limit by 3,000 years old. Try to find spirit rings close to 10,000 years old as much as possible. Douluo also conveyed his intentions to Doulu Yan. Unfortunately, Doulu Yan's spiritual power is not outstanding enough to cope with the soul shock of a 10,000 years old spirit ring. Otherwise, he would also let Doulu Yan try the fourth ring around 10,000 years old. As for Huor, the target is a spirit beast that has just broken through 10,000 years old. Xiao Zhan actually felt quite regretful. Xiao Ho has not yet completed the training of the spirit ascension method. But it's not a big problem. Because when it comes to spirit rings around 10,000 old years, it's not just a test for the spirit master's body to absorb beyond its level, but also a resistance in the spiritual aspect. Although the stronger the body, the easier it is to withstand and have more energy to deal with soul shock, but ultimately, it doesn't have much effect. Su Wen can continue to exert force and absorb beyond his level even after the 10,000 years old spirit ring, which is completely due to his special circumstances. 3 days after entering the primitive forest. This starlight unicorn is 6,500 years old. Wrong, do you want to try absorbing it? The starlight unicorn is one of the rare all-around spirit beasts, and its comprehensive strength is strong. Its most prominent feature is its ability to mobilize the power of the stars to enhance its own soul power and replenish soul power consumption. 1. After absorbing its spirit ring, Ning Rongrong will most likely gain a spirit skill that enhances soul power. The starlight unicorn has a body as pale as jade, with a spiral golden horn in the center of its forehead, surrounded by faint starlight. This one, Ning Rongrong's eyes sparked, and there was even a hint of urgency in her tone. Grandpa Bone, I want this starlight unicorn. She didn't think the starlight unicorn looked good. She just sensed, through her own martial spirit, a resonance with the gemstones and treasures, feeling that the starlight unicorn was quite compatible with her, which is why she liked it so much. Good, Gurong shouted loudly, immediately embodying his martial spirit. His originally over 2 meters tall body swelled again, his hands turning into tough claws, bursting out with a dragon roar. Gurong swiftly rushed to the front of the starlight unicorn, and before it could react, a claw slashed down, severely injuring it on the ground. 1. The starlight unicorn was easily killed by Ning Rongrong amidst extreme confusion. As the dead starlight unicorn's body dissipated, Faint starlight scattered around, with a purple halo floating within the light star. Wrong, absorb it, Ning Rongrong nodded, sitting cross-legged on the ground, and began to absorb the Starlight Unicorn Spirit Ring. A powerful soul power surged fiercely within her body. Ning Rongrong only felt a dull ache and a comfortable sensation of self-transformation. Initially, Ning Rongrong emitted a muffled groan from the pain, her expression twisted, but it was only momentary, and she no longer appeared to be in pain. Xiaoan, your spirit ascension method still has some flaws, Gurong said. Regardless of whether it can reduce the impact of soul power from spirit rings later on, at the beginning, one still has to face that initial impact, just like Ning Rongrong just now. However, Douluo had a different opinion. I think it's better this way, he explained his viewpoint. The initial impact of soul power can be very painful, but as long as one doesn't get too greedy and absorb spirit rings with ages completely mismatched to oneself, then it's unlikely to be fatally struck by the soul power of the spirit ring in such a short time. On the contrary, with the help of the initial impact of the spirit ring's soul power, the meridians and various muscles and bones in the bodies are torn by this impact, and they heal again during the subsequent absorption and refining process, maximizing the gains for the spirit master, to break and regenerate. As long as one strictly selects spirit beasts according to the proportion of the maximum age that Su Wen's spirit ascension method can enhance, there is hope to experience such a process of breaking and regenerating. For example, if the body can endure up to 5,000 years old, then one should select spirit beasts ranging from 5,500 years old to 6,000 years old. The initial impact of absorption damages the meridians throughout the body, then the excess part of the soul power in the spirit ring is sent into the martial spirit space by the spirit ascension method, and the remaining soul power is absorbed by the spirit master. With the assistance of the martial spirit's absorption of the spirit ring's evolution, the injuries heal, which is equivalent to a deep-level tempering of the body in the next spirit ring absorption. For example, learning the spirit ascension method before the first spirit ring, selecting a 500 years old spirit ring, and after breaking and regenerating once, even without specifically training the body, in the absorption of the second spirit ring, one's limit will naturally surpass that of an ordinary spirit master's second ring. Perhaps it could reach 800 years old or even 900 years old. Then, continuing in this manner, by the time the limit of the third ring is reached, it might reach 2,000 years old, and the limit of the fourth ring might rise to 7,000 years old. Here, the limit refers to the spirit master's own limit, and selecting spirit rings means finding ones that are 1 or 2 levels above this limit. One step ahead, step by step. Repeated breaking and regenerating allows the advantages of the physique to snowball, establishing an invincible advantage at the same level. Of course, not only does having strong power at the same level, but the soul power brought by absorbing spirit rings with higher ages also accelerates the spirit master's cultivation speed. Not all spirit cultivation speed masters are like Su Wen, able to utilize the spirit ring's soul power sent into the martial spirit space. The surplus soul power will eventually be absorbed back into the spirit master's soul power. These are also arguably major advantages of the spirit ascension method. Gurong frowned but did not refute Douluo's statement. He had been following Ningfengzi for years, even more frequently than Shenzhen, so naturally, he had his own theories. Just now, he only expressed that evaluation out of concern and sympathy for Ning Rongrong's pain. Time passed. 5 hours later, Ning Rongrong opened her eyes, and it seemed as if stars were twinkling within them. She summoned the 9 treasure-glazed tile pagoda, and beyond its already dazzling tower, there was now a natural layer of starlight. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 141, Poison Dragon Scorpion. My third spirit skill is soul power amplification, with an amplification ratio of 40%. The amplification of my first and second spirit skills has also reached 40%, unexpectedly, Ning Rongrong said. This is an inherent spirit skill of the 7 treasure-glazed tile pagoda martial spirit. Now, not only is the consumption of my third spirit skill very low, but the consumption of my second spirit skill has also decreased significantly, Ning Rongrong said. Su Wen and the others nodded as they listened to Ning Rongrong's description. It seems that this spirit ring is very suitable for her. We should continue to delve deeper. It has to be said that the spirit beasts on Evil Spirit Island are quite rare one by one. Although it is just a small island, the entire island is covered by a primitive forest, With an area about 1/3 the size of the Sunset Forest, and there are still many spirit beasts within it. Especially many rare spirit beasts that are rarely seen on the continent can be found on Evil Spirit Island. On the 7th day of landing on Evil Spirit Island, everyone arrived at a secluded and cold pond area. "It's toxic." Douluo's expression turned serious as he looked at the cold pond in front of him. He condensed a green light ball with soul power and shot it into the cold pond to sense the water inside with soul power and make a judgment. "It's a very strong toxin." Su Wen secretly used the phantom eye to scan the cold pond and discovered a strong soul power fluctuation at the bottom of the cold pond. "Careful, there is a spirit beast in the cold pond." When Su Wen activated the phantom eye, Gurong and Douluo could slightly sense the fluctuations of his spiritual power, thinking that he was sensing the fluctuations with spiritual power. This large cold pond, completely contaminated with toxicity, the toxicity of the spirit beast in the cold pond shouldn't be weak. If the age and species are suitable, it would be suitable for little Yan, Douluo said. After his martial spirit possessed him, he seemed to transform into a giant python and plunged into the cold pond. A hissing sound echoed out. Boom! The surface of the cold pond exploded. Douluo quickly retreated, and in front of him, a poison dragon scorpion emitting a strong soul power fluctuation and surrounded by poisonous gas appeared. This poison dragon scorpion was massive, nearly 20 meters long, covered in deep purple scales with a metallic sheen. It had powerful limbs and a seemingly extremely tough scorpion tail. At the end of the scorpion tail was a huge and exquisitely barbed hook, shining with a deep purple light, as if there was a layer of venom hidden beneath the barb, emitting a dangerous aura. The purple-black vertical pupils of the poison dragon scorpion stared firmly at Su Wen and the others. Poison dragon scorpion, a mutated scorpion spirit beast with dragon bloodline. Its scales are already very close to black. It should be close to 10,000 years, but it has not truly reached 10,000 years. It's very suitable for Sister Yan, and the dragon characteristics on this poison dragon scorpion are very prominent, indicating that it has a very strong dragon bloodline. Su Wen recognized the origin of this spirit beast and estimated its age. Douluo Yan's eyes lit up at his words. Firstly, the age is perfectly suited to her current needs. Secondly, it's a scorpion spirit beast, which will greatly enhance the toxicity of her jade phosphor serpent. And finally, it has a strong dragon bloodline. With all these factors combined, it's simply the perfect fourth spirit ring choice for her. Douluo also understood the compatibility of this poison dragon scorpion with Douluo Yan and immediately burst out with soul power. The terrifying soul power pressed down, causing the poison dragon scorpion's vertical pupils to instantly contract, revealing a trace of fear. To avoid scaring away the spirit beasts with their own aura, Douluo and Gurong were both suppressing their own aura. Just now, even under the influence of martial spirit possession, Douluo didn't unleash all of his soul power. Now, with the eruption of soul power, the poison dragon scorpion turned and tried to flee. However, in front of a tidal Douluo, how could a spirit beast of less than 10,000 years possibly escape? Especially considering that the toxins on its body weren't much of a concern for Douluo. The purple-black barb of the poison dragon scorpion swung out, and Douluo didn't even need to dodge. He directly swung a snake tail to slap away the barb, then swiftly approached and firmly entangled the poison dragon scorpion. The body of the jade phosphor serpent emperor tightened, exerting immense pressure on the entangled poison dragon scorpion, causing it to roar in pain. Poison dragon scorpion struggled frantically and roared, but it was futile. In his final moments, Douluo reminded Douluo Yan, "Yaner, release the toxin." It was difficult to deal with the poison dragon scorpion, especially for weaker spirit masters, even with the help of elders. It was challenging to safely secure the final blow, and they might even risk injury or poison during its counterattack. However, Douluo Yan was different. Following Douluo's instructions, she directly manifested her martial spirit and unleashed her third spirit skill, Jade Phosphor Violet Poison. The purple venom was guided by Douluo and injected into the poison dragon scorpion's body. At the same time, Douluo's toxin, of the same origin, also entered the poison dragon scorpion's body, merging with Douluo Yan's Jade Phosphor Violet Poison weakened until it could no longer move. A circle of deep purple spirit rings slowly floated up. Within this circle of spirit rings, there was already a faint black figure. "Yaner, absorb it." Douluo collected some materials from various parts of the poison dragon scorpion's corpse while clearing a non-toxic area for Douluo Yan. Be mindful of the initial soul power impact. Douluo reminded. Absorbing a spirit ring nearing 10,000 years was very difficult for Du Guyan, even with the assistance of the spirit ascension method to alleviate some pressure. It took her a full 10 hours to refine the essence of this spirit ring and the numerous soul powers it contained. Meanwhile, Su Wen and the others stationed themselves beside the cold pond. Douluo was responsible for guarding while Su Wen and the others entered a meditation state. By the time Du Guyan finished absorbing it, it was already the next morning. Sensing the rapid increase in soul power fluctuations from Du Guyan's side, Su Wen and the others emerged from their meditation state. "Grandpa, it seems like I've directly reached level 45, Du Guyan herself seemed somewhat incredulous. Although she knew that the effects of the precious medicinal materials she had taken hadn't fully manifested. When she absorbed the spirit ring and her soul power cultivation was revealed, she still felt a bit stunned. Because reaching level 45 was beyond belief. Douluo, on the other hand, was quite satisfied. This was almost no different from Su Wen's situation at the beginning. Su Wen seemed to have directly reached level 47 at the beginning, but he absorbed the 20,000-year-old mirror image beast spirit ring. Although it seemed like they were only differing by a factor of 2 in the spirit ring's age, the gap was significant. Because Su Wen exceeded the normal limit of the fourth ring by 15,000 years, while Du Guyan only exceeded it by less than 5,000 years. Looking at it this way, the difference was even more apparent. Level 45, Gurong, Xiaozan, and the others all showed expressions of shock. They only experienced the shock of Su Wen's advancement from the fourth ring to the fifth ring in less than a year, but they didn't experience the impact of Su Wen breaking through to level 47 directly after obtaining the fourth ring. Level 45 Ning Rongrong looked envious. She was only at level 38 now, still far from level 45-1. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 142, Void Silver Moon Taper. Su Wen sensed something amiss. He activated Phantom Eye and looked around, becoming vigilant. His reaction also caught the attention of Douluo and Gurong, who entered a state of alertness, while also sensing their surroundings. "Xiao, did you find something?" Su Wen didn't speak, instead fully activating Phantom Eye and looking up into the sky. The Phantom Eye, which had the ability to dispel illusions, couldn't pierce through the illusory world above at this moment. Through Phantom Eye, he vaguely observed that within that illusionary world seemed to be another world, filled with various strange fantasies that emerged and then shattered. Is this the illusion of Void Silver Moon Taper? Su Wen quickly associated it with the goal of his journey. Void Silver Moon Taper can create an illusionary realm, shuttling between illusion and reality. This illusionary realm is named for some characteristics of illusion arts, not entirely constructed by illusion arts. The illusion of Void Silver Moon Taper is indeed real, only then can it accommodate itself and shuttle between the so-called illusion and reality. In fact, it achieves the shuttle between the real space and the opened alternate space by utilizing the opened alternate space. At this moment, Su Wen vaguely discovered this illusionary realm through Phantom Eye, and saw that within the illusion, there seemed to be constantly emerging new illusions. Is this Void Silver Moon Taper feeding? Su Wen speculated. Apart from Su Wen, Gurong also seemed to sense a spatial fluctuation, following Su Wen's gaze toward the sky, deliberately sensing the spatial fluctuation in that direction. This spatial fluctuation is from another dimensional space, very likely the illusionary realm opened by Void Silver Moon Taper, Gurong said. Upon hearing this, Douluo also activated his spiritual power, realizing that they had finally found the trace of their ultimate goal for this journey. Previously, whether it was dealing with the star unicorn or the poison dragon scorpion, it was handled separately by the two titled Douluo. However, dealing with Void Silver Moon Taper was different. If one of they acted alone, it would inevitably be risky, so they had to go all out. The reason why the space created by Void Silver Moon Taper is referred to as an illusionary realm is because, in addition to being proficient in special type spirit skills, Void Silver Moon Taper is also skilled in spiritual type illusions. The combination of these two abilities makes its escape ability top-notch. I'll find a way to shatter its illusionary realm directly. The illusionary realm of Void Silver Moon Taper is the foundation of its special type spirit skills. By breaking its illusionary realm, many of its special type spirit skills will become unusable, especially the abilities that combine illusion and special spirit skills. Of course, with its abilities, it can temporarily create a space to assist in its maneuvers. However, this so-called short time is enough for the two titled Douluo to take it down. Since entering this primitive forest, Gurong has not fully unleashed his soul power. Even when dealing with a star unicorn earlier, he was holding back his power. After all, it was just a star unicorn of 6,500 years, and there was no need for him to display excessively extraordinary power. Douluo, on the other hand, had previously emitted a powerful aura. But for the void silver moon taper, it posed no significant threat. I will unleash my full power later, directly piercing through space to shatter its illusionary realm. Pay attention to the fluctuations around you and strike at it a moment it's vulnerable, Gurong said when he was advising Douluo and Xiaozan. Since Xiaozan's breakthrough, he had obtained a spirit core and his soul power had reached a solid state. His strength had undergone a qualitative change, and even though he might not match a true title Douluo in strength, he was among the top in the ranks of spirit Douluo suffocation. So powerful, Su Wen was shocked internally. This oppressive feeling truly befitted a super Douluo. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black spirit rings quickly emerged around Gurong's body, with the 7th spirit ring shining. Bone Dragon True Body. The 9th spirit ring shone. The 9th spirit skill, Divine Bone Dragon, Explosion Technique. In just a short moment, he unleashed a series of 5 major spirit skills, including the martial spirit True Body. Moreover, these were all 5 of his 10,000-year spirit skills. At this moment, the 95th level Bone Douluo was equivalent to unleashing his full power in a single strike. The massive bone dragon surged towards the sky, its right claw suddenly becoming larger and sharper, with a dim light hiding within. Ghost Bone Spur instantly appeared, as if piercing through space, causing ripples to emerge in the air. The dim light burst, as if piercing through a certain space, emitting a shattering sound. Then, the explosion occurred within the illusionary realm. An illusionary realm appeared out of nowhere in front of everyone. The scene that only Su Wen could see before was now fully revealed. Su Wen also observed the countless illusions within the illusionary realm more clearly. Wen did not immerse himself in those illusions. Instead, he scanned the entire sky with phantom eye, sensing a peculiar fluctuation and seeing a figure swiftly flying towards the depths of the primitive forest. He immediately alerted Douluo and Xiaozan. "Dugu Grandpa, Uncle Zan, over there." Douluo, seeing Gurong's dedication, naturally wouldn't lag behind. He immediately activated his martial spirit True Body, transforming into a gigantic serpent covered in green scales. The serpent's head emitted light, illusions appearing one after another. Its original form changed as a pair of snake pupils shot out a beam of light. Spirit Bone Skill, Medusa Gaze. Wherever the light shone, a figure was petrified, frozen in mid-air, and fell to the ground. Xiaozan suddenly erupted, flames bursting beneath his feet. He turned into a blur, swiftly catching up to the petrified figure and delivering a swift punch. The statue shattered. Douluo swiftly flew forward, heading towards a concealed spot in the sky. A phantom figure began to move again. The 8th spirit skill, Time Freeze, won at this moment. Su Wen felt as if his body was no longer under his control, only his thoughts and willpower able to continue operating. Centered around Douluo, the time within a radius of several thousand square meters was completely locked, as if frozen in place. The phantom figure was also affected, now suspended in midair, seemingly struggling but to no avail. Gurong traversed through space, unaffected by Douluo's time freeze, and pierced Void Silver Moon Taper's body with bone spurs that penetrated through space. The translucent phantom figure finally revealed itself completely. With an elephant's trunk, rhinoceros eyes, ox tail, and tiger feet, it had silver-white scales with a unique ethereal texture. Overall, it exuded a mysterious yet noble aura. At this moment, a dim light flickered in its abdomen, continuously corroding its body. Douluo swiftly approached, firmly restraining it with his serpent body. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Situation Beyond Control. Su Wen stepped forward, looking at the Void Silver Moon Taper. The silver scales of the Void Silver Moon Taper, with their illusory texture, emitted a transparent fluctuation, caught by his phantom eye. Is this the power of space? Su Wen speculated that this might be the fluctuation of spatial power, obvious spatial fluctuations. Su Wen was even more looking forward to the changes that the spirit ring of the void silver moon taper could bring to him. His right hand continued to rotate with a massive wind, forming a sharp wind blade. Approaching the empty space left by Douluo for him, he waved the wind blade in his hand and stabbed it in. The softest part of the abdomen of the void silver moon taper was pierced by the wind blade. Void silver moon taper struggled violently, firmly bound by Douluo's snake body, unable to stir up a storm, and finally unwillingly died after its internal organs were completely shattered by the wind. A circle of black spirit ring emerged. On this black spirit ring, there was a strange texture, making the whole spirit ring appear elusive and mysterious. Su Wen was slightly surprised. Different spirit rings could manifest on spirit beasts, and each had its own uniqueness. Spirit ring of this void silver moon taper. The black spirit ring with its elusive and mysterious texture fell onto Su Wen's body. The age of the void silver moon taper was 45,000 years. For Su Wen, this should not be a problem at all. However, as soon as he put the spirit ring on himself, Su Wen felt a burst of soul power rushing through his limbs and bones. His entire meridians instantly cracked, and his flesh and blood were somewhat shattered by this soul power shock. Unfortunately, he couldn't use spirit skills in the current situation, otherwise, he would definitely use various healing spirit skills to treat first. At this moment, he could only mobilize his soul power, pressing the soul power from the void silver moon taper into the martial spirit space. After the bursting soul power from the spirit ring entered the martial spirit space, it also gave Su Wen a sense of explosion, merging into the martial spirit under the guidance of the origin of the spirit ring, violently reconstructing Su Wen's martial spirit. Su Wen's face contorted in agony, as if enduring immense pain. At the same time, above his sea of consciousness, an illusory figure condensed. It was indeed the void silver moon taper. Unlike the last time when Su Wen absorbed the 20,000-year mirror image beast, the void silver moon taper at this moment seemed very intact. Waves of resentment emanated, causing tumultuous waves in Su Wen's sea of consciousness. The void silver moon taper seemed to still retain consciousness at this moment, actually mobilizing its own abilities, and even able to use its residual soul power to trigger changes in Su Wen's sea of consciousness. Such strong spiritual attributes. Su Wen was shocked. He didn't expect the void silver moon taper's spiritual attributes to be so powerful, actually being able to leave behind such a strong residual soul after death. Soul power into the spirit ring. The amount of soul power in this spirit ring is much larger than that naturally condensed. Su Wen had never seen a similar description in any of the materials. These were speculations he made in an instant, without time for verification. All his focus was now on dealing with this void silver moon taper. The spirit ascension method was developed by Su Wen himself. He could even compress or absorb the spirit ring soul power into the martial spirit space without using the soul power of the spirit ascension method. After the initial burst, the soul power shock he constantly endured would only decrease over time. As long as he dealt with this residual soul, there would be no worries about absorbing the spirit ring this time. Weak human, how dare you absorb my spirit ring? The void silver moon taper was furious, deeply angry by Su Wen, a spirit master of only the 50th level, daring to covet its spirit ring. It was because of such a detestable and arrogant little spirit master that it led to the fall of this great void king. Unforgivable. Su Wen's sea of consciousness continued to tumult, and even a wave of spiritual power invaded Su Wen's consciousness, causing him to fall into an illusion. Su Wen attempted to mobilize spiritual power to activate the phantom eye, but he was unexpectedly blocked by the void silver moon taper. Both sides were still fighting for control over the phantom eye. Damn it, is this the suffering of absorbing high-level spirit rings? Su Wen experienced firsthand the greatest dilemma when absorbing spirit rings of over 10,000 years. Perhaps, absorbing a spirit ring of 100,000 years old might face such a situation. The void silver moon taper continued to stir up a storm in Su Wen's sea of consciousness. Su Wen also launched a counterattack. The visualization method unfolded, and an illusory book quietly floated, its pages unfolding, mountains and rivers manifesting, suppressing Su Wen's entire sea of consciousness. Ice and fire yin-yang well was located manifested, and the void silver moon taper also let out a miserable scream. A scene of intertwining ice and fire power manifested, tormenting it with the extreme forces of ice and fire. Su Wen took the opportunity to seize control of the phantom eye, restoring complete control over his spiritual power. At this moment, He felt a chaotic situation inside his body. Just now, when he fell into the illusion, he could still intervene in the situation within the sea of consciousness, but the situation inside his body was a mess. The soul power of the spirit ring had shattered his body with cracks everywhere. Outside, watching the constant appearance of cracks on Su Wen's body, with a large amount of blood flowing out, he seemed like a bloodied figure. Douluo, Gurong, and others' faces changed drastically. Brother Xiaoan, Ningrongrong exclaimed, looking at Su Wen with great concern. Calm down, Xiaoan's spiritual fluctuations are still relatively intact, and his body's resilience is strong. Although it looks terrible, it hasn't burst instantly, so there's still hope. Don't forget, the spirit ascension method itself was developed by him, Douluo reassured. However, even he was filled with worry at this moment. Su Wen, you can't afford to falter again while absorbing the spirit ring. Su Wen regained his sense of his body and immediately transferred a large amount of spirit ring soul power into his own martial spirit space. The accumulated source soul power also guided the soul power to join in the transformation of the martial spirit by the essence of the spirit ring. After the unconscious manipulation by Su Wen, his martial spirit now had an additional layer of illusionary color, already exuding a mysterious aura. At the same time, as Su Wen's perception spread to the martial spirit space, he also discovered another thing. Through the martial spirit space, along with the absorption of the void silver moon taper's spirit ring, a peculiar energy was slowly permeating and entering his sea of consciousness. The martial spirit is the intermediate bridge between soul and body. This theory was proposed by Su Wen a long time ago and was the basis for his initial development of the sea of consciousness. Now, with the martial spirit space as the bridge, a force is entering his sea of consciousness along with the absorption of the spirit ring. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 144, 5th Spirit Skill, Void Shuttle. Sea of Consciousness. Su Wen suppressed the remnant soul of the void silver moon taper, corroding it with the power of visualization, and spiritual power refined and absorbed the power within this remnant soul. As the martial spirit refined its spirit ring essence, the energy contained within this remnant soul could also be refined by Su Wen, used to enhance his own spiritual power. Utilizing the energy that permeated the sea of consciousness through the martial spirit space, it split into two strands. One swiftly rushed into Su Wen's phantom eye, while the other merged into Su Wen's sea of consciousness. At the same time, Su Wen felt his eyes being nourished, similar to the feeling he had when he initially consumed full moon wearing autumn dew. After integrating this power, the phantom eye seemed even more powerful, with silver noble patterns covering the originally splendid vertical pupil, making the entire pupil appear extremely illusory. Su Wen could sense with his spiritual power that a space seemed to have opened up within the phantom eye. No, not just the phantom eye, but also his other eyes, the three eyes collectively connecting to another space. This absorption surpassed any of Su Wen's previous spirit ring absorptions in terms of time. 2.5 days later, the blood on Su Wen's body had already scabbed over, his bones continuously crackling as his internal injuries rapidly healed. Opening his eyes, Su Wen saw the relieved faces of the crowd, and Ningrongrong, whose face seemed to still bear traces of tears. Brother Xiaoan, you scared us to death, Ningrongrong said with a frightened expression. I didn't expect that the combination of the void silver moon taper's spiritual and spatial attributes could achieve this, Su Wen voiced his speculation. Knowing it's a sure death, sealing one's own spiritual power into the spirit ring, and counterattacking during absorption? Mutual destruction, Gurong frowned, evidently unfamiliar with such a concept. Douluo also shook his head, indicating he had never heard of it. And, moreover, being able to compress a large amount of soul power within the spirit ring, using the spirit ring to inject it into a spirit master's body, and bursting the spirit master, both titled Douluo found this somewhat absurd. Su Wen chuckled, that's because normal spirit masters absorb spirit rings according to their level of endurance. Even if remnants of a soul are fused into the spirit ring, like the void silver moon taper, it's unlikely to pose a real threat to a spirit saint. The greater shock of soul power can be forcibly endured. In essence, when it comes down to it, after reaching the 10,000-year level, the greatest threshold for absorbing spirit rings is actually the strength of spiritual power, while the body's capacity for endurance comes second. Moreover, all of them possess soul power quality of 45,000 years. With a greater quantity, there is a much higher chance of forcibly enduring the impact of spirit ring soul power contained in a normal 50,000-year-old spirit ring than enduring it normally. However, Su Wen is different. He is just a spirit ancestor, only after absorbing the spirit ring will he become a spirit king. The void silver moon taper may not know Su Wen's confidence, but that doesn't stop it from looking down on him, intending to perish together in this way. Well, this possibility cannot be significantly ruled out. Of course. The intelligence of this void silver moon taper is also a factor. Douluo nodded, acknowledging Su Wen's statement, but also pointing out that these ideas must be based on the intelligence of the spirit beast itself. A 50,000-year-old spirit beast already has its own thoughts, able to think independently rather than act solely on physiological instinct, and a spirit beast exceeding 50,000 years old is basically comparable to humans in intelligence. This void silver moon taper may only be 45,000 years old, but it possesses intelligence surpassing that of a 50,000-year-old spirit beast. Its spiritual attributes are indeed powerful, allowing it to successfully seal its spiritual power into the spirit ring. However, unfortunately for it, it was eventually successfully absorbed by Su Wen to Xiaoan. Is the spirit skill as you expected? Douluo asked. The others also perked up, curious about the spirit skill Su Wen obtained this time. Su Wen nodded and didn't conceal anything, revealing the situation of his spirit skill completing the absorption of the spirit ring. I also gained a phantom realm, which allows me to shuttle between reality and illusion. This time, Su Wen truly didn't conceal anything, informing of his spirit skill's abilities. However, he didn't explain everything clearly, such as where his phantom realm is located or if there are any limitations to such shuttling. Douluo nodded, quite satisfied with Su Wen's spirit skill. A special attribute spirit skill of over 40,000 years, I suppose the shuttling ability won't be lacking. This way, you'll have a means of survival in the future. Su Wen nodded, admitting that this was indeed correct. If you were to encounter another inexplicable interception like Huayan Zhen, Su Wen would at least have the opportunity to use the intervals between antagonistic remarks to shuttle and escape. Moreover, the main advantage is that Su Wen's phantom eye has the ability to provide warnings. Combined with his fifth spirit skill, his survival abilities are even more outstanding. Now, only Xiaozan and his daughter's spirit rings remain. Should we continue searching here on Evil Spirit Island or return to the continent and venture into the depths of the Flame Mountain Range? We're already deep in the heart of the primeval forest here. Let's explore this area thoroughly before leaving. After all, Evil Spirit Island is just a small island surrounded by the ocean. The chance of encountering powerful fire attribute spirit beasts is not high. If they truly exist, they should be very conspicuous, and they would have sensed them long ago. However, there are indeed many rare species of spirit beasts here that are rarely seen on the continent, so they are planning to explore the depths. Upon their return, what they have seen this time will become part of their knowledge. If there are loved ones in need of similar spirit rings in the future, they won't have to go to great lengths to find them. 2 days later, the group left Evil Spirit Island. If the powerful sea spirit beasts around are indeed gathering because of the Void Silver Moon Taper, then our hunting of the Void Silver Moon Taper should cause these sea spirit beasts to disperse. What's worrying is that these sea spirit beasts might cause trouble along the coast before dispersing. The abilities of 10,000-year-old spirit beasts are still very formidable. Especially sea spirit beasts. They have home advantage in the deep sea and also along the coast. Perhaps the casual outbreak of a spirit skill could trigger a terrifying tsunami. The Void Silver Moon Taper has just fed on their nightmares, so this situation shouldn't occur in the short term, but we should still be cautious, Xiaozan said. After I finish absorbing the spirit ring, let's make a trip to Blazing City to inform Xian'ang. Douluo and Gurong nodded. Blazing City isn't far from East Xia City, so Xian'ang is indeed convenient for handling this matter. On the return journey, the group encountered several attacks from sea spirit beasts again. However, unfortunately, it seemed that the whales along the way had already been hunted when they arrived, and they didn't obtain any whale glue again. Back on land, Ningrongrong stretched lazily. Being on land is much more comfortable. The feeling of being on a boat is uncomfortable, especially with a salty sea breeze. It's bearable for a short while, but enduring it for days or even weeks is quite uncomfortable. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 145, 80,000 years old Flame Master. Flame Mountain Range. In the depths of this mountain range, there is an 80,000-year-old Flame Master, a mutant of the Flame Lord. I've been eyeing him for a long time. Xiao Zan's target this time was very clear. Flame Master? By the name of dominance, perhaps this mutant Flame Lord is not the strongest in the entire mountain range, but it must be the most outstanding individual of this species. At least, among the same level, there won't be any other Flame Lord stronger than him. Su Wen didn't expect Xiao Zan to have a target so early. 80,000 years. Normally, the limit that a spirit master can withstand with the 8th spirit ring is between 50 to 70,000 years. Uncle Zan, you practice the fire demon style, your soul power is solidified, plus my spirit ascension method, absorbing this 80,000 years flame master would be appropriate, Su Wen said. Even without the spirit ascension method, Xiao Zan might still be able to absorb some spirit beasts that exceed 80,000 years. With the spirit ascension method, absorbing this over 80,000 years flame master shouldn't be too dangerous. Xiao Zan possesses immense soul power, coupled with his scholarly background, he can independently explore techniques to actively compress soul power. His mastery of the meridians within the body far surpasses ordinary spirit masters. The soul power impact from an 80,000 years old spirit ring relatively easily with the spirit ascension method. The soul shock brought by an 80,000 years old spirit ring is not something that ordinary quasi-spirit alus can endure. Xiao Zan is obviously not an ordinary person. It's not that his martial spirit has undergone evolution in spiritual attributes, but his cultivation of fusion with his own body and martial spirit. With the combined effects of the spirit fusion method and the ring's fusion technique, Xiao Zan's fusion with his martial spirit is approaching the level of tidal Douluo. According to Su Wen's theory, the martial spirit is the bridge between the soul and the body of a spirit master. For ordinary spirit masters, one significant way to enhance spiritual power is through the feedback from body enhancement. The higher the fusion degree of a spirit master, the stronger the feedback spiritual power receives while their soul power is increasing. In this breakthrough, with soul power solidification, Xiao Zan's spiritual power gains significant feedback. Moreover, extensive research and frequent mental activity itself constitute training for spiritual power. Most importantly, soul shock targets the sea of consciousness, but at the same time, it's not limited to just the sea of consciousness. Generally speaking, spirit kings and spirit emperors have not opened their sea of consciousness. The soul shock they receive causes disturbance to their sea of consciousness, but a large portion of the residual impact is borne by their martial spirit and physical body. If the body has spare capacity to bear the pressure, then the pressure on spiritual power will also be lower. The Flame Mountain Range has a total of 5 branches, extending in 5 directions, each inhabited by different types of fire attribute spirit beasts. We're heading towards the southern branch. Arriving at the Flame Mountain Range, Xiao Zan seemed to be returning home, leading everyone forward. Dad, how come you're so familiar with this Flame Mountain Range? Xiao He couldn't help but wonder. Ever since she could remember, Xiao Zan had been the renowned fire demon Xiao Zan, a spirit saint. Clearly, Xiao Zan's familiarity with this place stemmed from his previous experiences when acquiring spirit rings. Uncle Zan selects his spirit skills and combinations strictly, facilitating his development of the fire demon style during cultivation. Therefore, he's very picky when it comes to acquiring spirit rings. Su Wen explained one being picky about spirit rings means wasting a lot of time and energy when searching for spirit beasts. Su Wen remembered that Xiao Zan had been a teacher at the Nuoding Academy. During that time, he probably hunted spirit beasts in the Flame Mountain Range after his breakthroughs. With his friendship with Ho Xianang, it's likely that not only did he acquire spirit rings for himself, but he also accompanied Ho Xianang when he acquired his spirit rings. The area of the Flame Mountain Range is even larger than the Sunset Forest, but the density of spirit beasts is far lower, making exploration progress more efficient. If one could come back 4 or 5 times, spending 2 to 3 months each time, it would be equivalent to exploring the Flame Mountain Range for a year. For Xiao Zan, who was at least a spirit king at that time, it was indeed possible for him to explore the Flame Mountain Range thoroughly within a year. Following Xiao Zan's guidance, everyone advanced into the Flame Mountain Range. We should be nearby. I remember that Xianang and I once discovered a 10,000 years old jade fire spirit beast around here. Because its age was too low for us back then, we didn't choose it. But now, thinking about it, this jade fire spirit beast should be very suitable for her, Xiao Zan said. However, he wasn't sure if this jade fire spirit beast had been found by other spirit beasts over the years. Uncle Zan, over there, Su Wen's expression changed as he looked in a certain direction. There was a vague and illusory power flowing in his eyes as Su Wen gazed into the distance. There, a huge rock scorched by flames could be seen, with green flames still burning on top. It seems the Jade Fire Spirit Beast is still nearby. Xiao Zhan breathed a sigh of relief. Since it's still nearby, we're sure to find it, Douluo said. With their current setup, finding a Jade Fire Spirit Beast known to be nearby wouldn't be difficult. 3 days later. Boom, seemed like a flame giant, relentlessly swinging his flame fist, violently beating the giant beast surrounded by green flames, forcing it to the ground. This style of combat wasn't for venting emotions, but rather a technique that most high-level spirit masters would choose when facing a target spirit beast that they must inevitably hunt down. After all, the probability of producing a spirit bone is very low. There are only 2 situations that can increase this probability: extreme cooperation from the spirit beast itself or the spirit beast being full of resentment. Beating is a way for most spirit masters to make spirit beasts resent them before they die. Moreover, beating can arouse the spirit beast's resentment. When a spirit master in real need of a spirit ring resolves it, there is a chance that the spirit beast will feel grateful. Hur, Xiao Zhan exclaimed. Xiao Ho had already rushed out, holding a lotus flower formed from green flames emitting scorching heat in her hand. Suddenly, she threw the green flame lotus in her hand. Jade Fire Spirit Beast, completely engulfing it in flames. When the green flames dissipated, a ring of pitch-black spirit ring floated in the air. Xiao Ho approached, sitting cross-legged beneath the black spirit ring, pulling it away from her body and beginning to absorb the spirit ring. Sister Huer's spirit ring is resolved also. Next is Uncle Zhan's spirit ring, the final target, the 80,000-year-old Flame Master. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 146, Xiao Zhan's New Secret Technique. Early the next morning, the outer spirit ring around Xiao Ho's body completely enveloped her, 2 yellow, 2 purple, moving in harmony. She opened her eyes and looked at Xiao Zhan, revealing a smile, excitedly saying, "Dad, it's a success." As she said this, Su Wen, Gurong, and the others who were originally curious about her spirit skill became even more curious. Because the way she mentioned success seemed to have a certain purpose from the beginning. It's good that it's successful. Xiao Zhan also felt relieved. Sister Huer, what's going on? What is your 5th spirit skill? Su Wen asked curiously. Xiao Ho smiled and said, my 5th spirit skill is Jade Spirit Fire Seed. Jade Spirit Fire Seed? Su Wen frowned, uncertainly saying, could it be that it not only has the ability to unleash the Jade Fire of the Jade Fire Spirit Beast, but also condense it into a seed of fire? That's right, that's probably the effect. Xiao Ho nodded, acknowledging Su Wen's explanation. Su Wen looked at Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan nodded, saying, this involves another secret technique I developed. I never really held hope of breaking through to Spirit Douluo before, so the practical implementation of this secret technique was mainly carried out by Huer. Oh, when it came to secret techniques, Su Wen and the others perked up their ears. However, they didn't expect Xiao Zhan to fully explain the principles involved. After all, secret techniques were very private things, belonging to the fundamental secrets of a spirit master. However, Xiao Zhan didn't completely conceal it and began to explain. As for spirit skills, Xiao has also summarized them. He looked at Su Wen and said, I tend to agree with Xiao's classification. Su Wen was cute and felt somewhat helpless. He had a lot of research and drawn many conclusions, and with his own understanding and in-depth research, these conclusions had been continuously updated and refined. For example, regarding spirit skills, initially, when he was still in Nuoding City, he understood the abilities of spirit skills as the inherent power of martial spirits themselves, merely guided out by spirit rings. There wasn't really a problem with this interpretation. Even though many abilities were clearly brought about by spirit rings, they were actually potentials of the martial spirit itself, with a hidden power being unearthed by the spirit ring. But in the end, it could be considered sophistry. More so, it was Su Wen's summarizing ability that was lacking. Initially, he had thought in this way, but the theories he had summarized didn't clearly encompass everything. Later, with further research and after obtaining several spirit rings himself, Su Wen refined this theory and also discussed it with Xiao Zhan. According to Xiao's classification, the sources of spirit skills can be divided into 2 aspects. One comes from spirit rings, and the other comes from martial spirits. Xiaozan explained. When a martial spirit naturally matches a certain spirit skill of the spirit-acquired beast, it can develop similar abilities. Through the modification of spirit rings, there is hope to inherit this spirit skill of the spirit beast. This is a spirit skill that comes from spirit rings. As for martial spirits like the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda, regardless of which spirit beast's spirit ring they obtain, they will produce the same 7 spirit skills and the martial spirit true body that all spirit masters obtain at the 7th ring corresponding spirit skills. One comes from spirit rings, and martial spirits happen to be able to match with spirit rings. Through the modification of spirit rings, they possess this spirit skill. The other comes from the martial spirit itself, and spirit rings have specific channels to guide the martial spirit's abilities into spirit skills. The crowd nodded in apparent understanding too. So, Uncle Zan, are you trying to guide the abilities of the martial spirit into spirit skills? Xiaozan nodded and shook his head. It's more like referencing this direction, but I'm attempting to turn my own development of martial spirit into spirit skills. In fact, it's also the inherent ability of the martial spirit, developed by the spirit master, forming spirit skills in specific forms. So, for the next Flame Master Spirit Ring, Uncle Zan, are you also trying to find a way to make your 8th spirit skill similar to the ability to condense fire seeds? Su Wen seemed to understand Xiaozan's thoughts. While others were still digesting Xiaozan's previous explanation of spirit skill classification, Su Wen had already begun pondering Xiaozan's intentions, the direction of his secret techniques. Looking at Su Wen, Xiaozan smiled helplessly and said, "It seems Xiaoan, you also know the direction I want to develop." Su Wen nodded but didn't continue to inquire. He would wait until Xiaozan developed it further. "Let's go hunt that Flame Master first," Xiaozan said. Deep within the Flame Mountain range. This was a valley surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, with flames that never extinguished swirling within. The scorching flames tinted the entire valley red. On the surrounding rock walls, streaks of red magma flowed down. In the center of the valley, a giant beast, its body seemingly composed of magma and engulfed in flames, crawled. It undulated continuously, emitting hot air from its body, forming a formidable pressure lava giant. Those crimson eyes stared at the exit of the valley. Over there, the figures of Su Wen and his companions emerged. Roar! Upon seeing human spirit masters disturbing its rest, the Flame Master immediately let out a roar, erupting like flames, and flames soared into the sky from him as the center. The entire valley was in turmoil, the flames burning more fiercely, and the magma flowing on the rock walls seemed even hotter. "Yaner, wrong, you two, and Xiaoho and Xiao, don't act on your own here." Douluo's expression turned serious as he felt the pressure. Facing an 80,000-year-old Flame Master, even he had to be cautious. Gurong also had a solemn expression at this moment. He realized that this Flame Master was vastly different from the Flame Lords he knew, evident from the oppressive aura. His strength is probably comparable to some 100,000-year-old spirit beasts, Gurong said in a solemn tone. Su Wen, at the exit of the valley, also gazed at the distant Flame Master, holding his breath and focusing his mind. Such a terrifying aura, no wonder it's called the Master. Gurong, Douluo, along with Xiaozan, and Ningrongrong, from a distance, applied enhancements to their strength, speed, and soul power. With the combined efforts of the 3, battling the Flame Master also took some effort before they finally killed it in death. Its corpse still emitted an oppressive feeling. Su Wen and his group arrived at the center of the valley. "Let's absorb it directly here." With the deterrence of the Flame Master, no spirit beasts dared to approach nearby, Su Wen suggested. Despite the intense battle, no spirit beasts dared to approach the valley in a short time. Suppressing his excitement, Xiaozan took a deep breath and sat cross-legged in front of the Flame Master's corpse. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 3 black. 7 spirit rings emerged, and a fire demon book, brimming with domineering flame aura and entirely constructed of flames, floated above Xiaozan's head. The spirit ring of the Flame Master was then drawn by him and landed outside the fire demon book. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 147, 80,000 years old spirit bone. The spirit ring, reaching up to 80,000 years, was extremely difficult for Xiaozan to absorb. It was better than Su Wen's situation. There was no blood coming out of his body, but the massive impact of soul power also made Su Wen's and the other juniors dare not get too close. This time, It took Xiaozan a full half-month to absorb this spirit ring 1. The majestic oppression of soul power gradually converged, and the pitch-black spirit ring was wrapped around Xiaozan's body, outside of the other 7 spirit rings. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 4 black, 8 spirit rings complemented each other, emitting terrifying fluctuations of soul power. Feeling Xiaozan's soul power aura, Douluo's expression became solemn. Meet your expectations, Su Wen asked eagerly. Xiaozan nodded. The effect of my 8th spirit skill is indeed to condense the fire seeds. Furthermore, it can condense multiple fire seeds. The 8th spirit skill has become a supplementary type of spirit skill, but he is not the least bit disappointed. Instead, he is quite satisfied. He reached out his right hand, and a large amount of flames gathered, while the external heaven and earth energy continuously poured into it. The 8th spirit ring outside Xiaozan's body flickered, the flames continuously compressed, eventually forming a dark red fire seed, with flames burning outside of it. Even after interrupting the supply of soul power, the fire seed still absorbed external forces and transformed them into the power of flames to burn. This is the approximate effect of my 8th spirit skill. Ningrongrong and Douluo weren't very interested. They looked at Xiaozan's demonstration of the 8th spirit skill without much reaction. Douluo and Gurong, on the other hand, were interested but couldn't understand the significance of Xiaozan choosing such a spirit skill. After all, this was the spirit ring of an 80,000-year flame master, guiding the realization of Xiaozan's envisioned fire-type spirit skill. So why did it seem completely mismatched with a spirit ring? However, they didn't raise any questions. They knew Xiaozan's advantage lay in creating his own spirit skills. This spirit skill had just been acquired, and its true effect had not yet been revealed. Just as everyone was about to leave, Xiaozan stopped them. Wait a moment, he looked at the corpse of the flame master, and a flame condensed on his right fist, covering his palm, forming a flaming blade in his hand. Watching Xiaozan's movements, Gurong and Douluo's pupils contracted one after another. Could it be spirit bone? Ningrongrong exclaimed. She had felt some special sensation. It turned out to be her martial spirit sensing the treasure. Xiaozan had already cut open the corpse of the flame master, revealing a translucent spirit bone inside. Douluo gasped in shock. The value of this spirit bone was immeasurable. Seeing this, Su Wen remained silent. This flame master was hunted by Douluo, Gurong, and Xiaozan. Among them, Xiaozan contributed the least and absorbed the flame master's spirit ring. The distribution of this spirit bone had the most say from Douluo and Gurong. After a long silence, the two exchanged glances, as if making a decision when absorbed together. Xiaozan, you should keep this torso bone for absorption, Gurong, who was stronger, said. Douluo also nodded, evidently agreeing with Gurong's decision. Xiaozan visibly breathed a sigh of relief and clasped his fists in gratitude to the two titled Douluo, saying, "Thank you both." Although he had not yet reached titled Douluo level, his true strength was already comparable to that of a titled Douluo. In the previous battle with the Flame Master, he was only slightly weaker than Douluo. After absorbing the spirit ring and breaking through to spirit Douluo, his soul power had surged to level 83. If he were to absorb this spirit bone as well, he would undoubtedly possess strength equal to that of a titled Douluo 1. Therefore, there was also a change in how he addressed them. However, Xiaozan still showed a hint of respect and was grateful to Gurong and Douluo for giving up the spirit bone. I an old sword both have torso bones already. Forcing to take this one wouldn't leave a suitable candidate when returning to the sect. This spirit bone conflicts with my attribute. In fact, the two of them were not only considering maximizing the benefits of simultaneously absorbing the spirit ring and spirit bone, but also their current situations. Helping to hunt down this 80,000-year flame master this time was just a favor, but with a spirit bone added, Xiaozan owed even more. Moreover, considering Xiaozan's character, Douluo essentially gained a reliable friend of the same level, and the 7 treasure glazed tile sect essentially gained a guest with the strength of a titled Douluo, someone who could truly contribute to the sect. Rest assured, both of you. Xiaozan will remember this favor and will definitely repay it. Xiaozan chose to absorb this spirit bone on the spot. 5 days later, in Blazing City, Su Wen and the others arrived in Blazing City and rested well for a night. Xiaozan, on the other hand, went to Blazing Academy and found Ho Xianang, informing him of the possibility of sea spirit beasts causing trouble near East Xia City. Of course, before this, he had also pleasantly surprised Ho Xianang. Although his 8th spirit skill had not yet been successfully developed into a secret technique, just a breakthrough in solid soul power alone allowed him to outmatch Ho Xianyang. Wow, I didn't expect you to break through successfully in all this. Ho Xianyang was amazed that Xiao Zhan could break through the bottleneck that many spirit Douluo at level 89 couldn't. However, although his tone contained various complaints and displeasure, deep down, he was actually relieved for Xiao Zhan. At least, the fire demon Xiao Zhan didn't end up trapped at level 79 because he took the wrong path. Haha, Xianyang, my old buddy, I just let you have a few years, and now we're both spirit Douluo. I'll definitely break through to title Douluo before you do. Xiao Zhan laughed heartily, patting Ho Xianyang's shoulder with force. HMPH, you make it sound so easy. Ho Xianyang rolled his eyes. Becoming a title Douluo wasn't that simple. By the way, Xianyang, there's something I want to ask your opinion about. What is it? Ho Xianyang glanced at Xiao Zhan and asked casually. I want to invite you to join Wisdom Palace. Wisdom Palace? Yeah, it's a force that Xiao is preparing to establish. Xiao Zhan briefly described the information about Wisdom Palace that Su Wen wanted to create. Why does he have the idea of establishing a force? Ho Xianyang's face looked strange, showing some confusion. According to Xiao, the purpose of Wisdom Palace is to promote the development of the Spirit Master world, conduct theoretical research, explore theories, and popularize the application of theories among the Spirit Master community. It's not really a faction but more like a coalition, similar to, Xiao Zhan thought for a moment and made a comparison. It's similar to Spirit Hall before Jin Zunji became the Pope. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 148, Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Is it similar to the Spirit Hall before Jin Zunji took office? It has to be said that Xiao Zhan's metaphor is very appropriate, allowing Ho Xianyang to quickly understand many things about Wisdom Palace. Spirit Hall is an organization of spirit masters, rather than a single power. Sometimes, spirit masters from many sects are also members of Spirit Hall. Of course, as time goes by, suspicions about Spirit Hall, this huge entity, deepen, and barriers arise. Finally, after Jin Zunji took office, Spirit Hall began to change little by little. From originally just maintaining the glory of Spirit Hall, illuminating the brilliance of the angel god above the continent, it gradually began to truly confront the two great empires. And unlike Spirit Hall, Wisdom Palace will always maintain a cooperative relationship with various major powers, such as the 7 treasure glazed tile sect joining Wisdom Palace. As you say that, it sounds more like an alliance. Ho Xianyang frowned. Xiao Zhan was taken aback for a moment, then didn't refute it, feeling that this statement made sense. The purpose of Wisdom Palace is still theoretical research, promoting the development of the Spirit Master realm, but it also needs its own strength. These sects like the 7 treasure glazed tile sect will join later, but their goal in joining is to cooperate in theoretical research. They may not necessarily provide defensive forces for Wisdom Palace, so, Su Wen approached you and me. Ho Xianyang realized. Talking about the beliefs or goals of Wisdom Palace is nonsense. In the final analysis, it's about establishing a power and finding people to sit in positions of authority. Xiao Zhan shook his head and said, not just you and me, Douluo has also joined. Additionally, whoever will join Wisdom Palace with me? Oh, Ho Xianyang was extremely surprised. He actually managed to get Douluo to join. After some thought, he made a decision. For your sake, I can join, but let's make it clear first. I want to continue presiding over the Blazing Academy. When there's a suitable candidate to pass on the position of dean, then I can take charge of Wisdom Palace. Xiao Zhan's expression became slightly awkward, arousing suspicion from Ho Xianyang. What's wrong? I haven't fallen into a trap, have I? Not exactly, it's just that Wisdom Palace is still in its infancy, and we don't have territory yet. But after returning to Heaven Dao City this time, Xiao will consider it. He will also announce the existence of Wisdom Palace at the Spirit Master competition. Ho Xianyang's forehead bulged with veins. So, you're playing me for a fool, huh? Haha, isn't this just an early invitation for you to take a seat? Xiao Zhan still believed in the promising future of Wisdom Palace. It was clearly developing towards becoming the second Spirit Hall, with its key foundation lying in theoretical aspects, filling the void in the entire continent's Spirit Master realm. As long as Su Wen's mentioned responsibilities for Wisdom Palace could be executed well, then the growth and establishment of Wisdom Palace as a sacred place in the hearts of all spirit masters would pose no difficulty. Unless Spirit Hall also came up with a plan to promote the development of the Spirit Master realm in terms of theory. But for now, there seemed to be no need to worry. At least, Su Wen's theories wasn't something Spirit Hall could confront by just saying they would confront it. Moreover, according to the information Xiao Zhan learned from Bai Yuan, it seemed that Spirit Hall was aware of Su Wen's intention to establish Wisdom Palace, and they seemed to be willing to support Su Wen, showing a supportive attitude. Don't ask how Bai Yuan knew, the answer is simply that Bai Yuan was one of those who were notified in advance that they might be transferred to Wisdom Palace. Xiao, I've brought you some assistance. Back at the hotel, Xiao Zhan shared his achievements with Su Wen. Achievements? Uncle Zhan, did you crush Uncle Yang under you? 4. Xiao Zhan had a puzzled expression, looking at Su Wen. What did Xianyang do to provoke you? Didn't he teach you all his skills? Why is it that when I mention achievements, you seem so eager for me to crush him? And not just crush, but crush him to the ground? This must be some deep-seated grudge. Su Wen chuckled awkwardly, changing the subject. So, Uncle Zhan, what achievements are you talking about? I invited Xianyang to join Wisdom Palace, and he didn't object. He just wants to wait until the procedures at Nuoding Academy are completed before officially joining Wisdom Palace. Upon hearing that Wisdom Palace had gained another member, Su Wen naturally felt pleased. Well done, Uncle Zhan, recruiting talents on your own. Uncle Zhan, do you have any other close friends? If so, why not invite them to join my Wisdom Palace as well? As Xiao Zhan mentioned this, Su Wen realized that there was only about a year left until the Spirit Master competition. Yet, some preparations for Wisdom Palace were still incomplete. He planned to dazzle everyone at the Spirit Master competition, then present the theories of Wisdom Palace and share his achievements preliminarily, establishing a persona and gaining initial popularity across the entire continent. But before that, at least, there should be a rudimentary form of his Wisdom Palace. It didn't need to have a massive power base. Currently, with Douluo, along with 2 old Spirit Douluo, and Su Wen's numerous theories, this was the true foundation of Wisdom Palace. As for the so-called 4 great single-attribute clans, Su Wen had no interest in inviting them and wasn't interested in them either. They were just a bunch of rough men, completely unrelated to Wisdom Palace. There's no need to go licking their boots. Compared to the current situation of sects and families, I would prefer Wisdom Palace to exist in a different form, Su Wen said. Xiao Zhan looked curious. What form? Su Wen smiled and a light sphere appeared in his palm. Uncle Zhan, try to integrate your spiritual power into it, Su Wen suggested. Driven by curiosity, Xiao Zhan followed Su Wen's instruction and immersed his spiritual power into it, immediately feeling a sense of vastness. Within the light sphere, it was as if there was a complete world. However, this world was still quite monotonous. Within it, endless books floating around, each book like a drop of water, making the entire space look like an ocean of books. He felt his strand of spiritual power condensed into consciousness under a force's pressure. Slowly advancing, he grabbed the book, and then a message fused into his consciousness. Suddenly, the consciousness dissipated, and the spiritual power returned to Xiao Zhan's sea of consciousness. Accompanying it was an illusory book. Xiao Zhan was amazed. With his spiritual power, he touched the book in his sea of consciousness, and a vast amount of knowledge quickly fused into his mind. Although it was information he already knew, the entire process left Xiao Zhan extremely astonished. How did you develop something like this, Xiao? Xiao Zhan's tone was full of astonishment at the moment. This is just a knowledge sea I developed, belonging to the Wisdom Palace's database, a place for storing and accessing theories. Besides the knowledge sea, there's also a mountain of books, Su Wen said, taking out another light sphere. Within this light sphere were stacks of books, forming a mountain. Compared to the knowledge sea, the mountain of books is actually for beginners in theory. It contains some basic theories, and in the future, I will also set some thresholds to test scholars' foundation and level. Listening to Su Wen's explanations, Xiao Zhan was somewhat confused. In any case, Su Wen's development of the mountain of books and sea of knowledge left him deeply impressed. Was this still within the scope of spirit skill development? Which spirit skill from which family could achieve such effects? Most importantly, he couldn't figure out which spirit skill Su Wen used to develop this. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 149, The World in the Book. Su Wen has actually developed spirit skills to this extent, Xiao Zhan expressed great shock. Recalling the details from the two light clusters of the Mountain of Books and the Sea of Knowledge just separated from Su Wen's hands, Xiao Zhan seemed to think of something. Xiao, could this be the effect of your fifth spirit skill? After saying this, he shook his head. No, it's not right. Your fifth spirit skill has only been obtained for a short time. It shouldn't be possible to develop it to this extent, right? His expression serious, he still cautioned Su Wen. First of all, Xiao, if this Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge are related to your fifth spirit skill's illusion, then you better not develop it like this. Although the concealment and security of Wisdom Palace have been improved and it's more convenient, it will also bring you more danger. After acquiring the fifth spirit skill, Su Wen's security has greatly improved. But if the fundamental illusion of the fifth spirit skill is associated with a Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, then it is very likely to be targeted by malicious individuals, secretly infiltrating Wisdom Palace, and then using the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge to break Su Wen's illusion, which would be dangerous for Su Wen. Although it's not that the illusion cannot be developed after being broken, it's like when they were hunting the Void Silver Moon Taper before, after the illusion was broken, the enemy wouldn't give you another chance to develop it. Don't worry, Uncle Zhan, this is just a pure illusion constructed with spiritual power. Xiao Zhan frowned, somewhat uncertain. An illusion? Since when did Su Wen master illusion techniques? Xiao Zhan expressed that he had never known about this. Uncle Zhan, have you forgotten that my second spirit skill comes from the Phantom Fox? My spiritual attribute also broke through because of the Phantom Fox's spirit ring, and my spiritual power gained the characteristics of illusion after that. With my development, I created the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge as it is now. Xiao Zhan expressed that he didn't quite understand. He knew Su Wen's words were definitely an abbreviated version, with many details and key points left unsaid. However, since it had nothing to do with Su Wen's life-saving illusion, he didn't say much more. By the way, your way of transmitting knowledge is somewhat outrageous in terms of efficiency. Su Wen chuckled and shook his head, saying, no, it's just that Uncle Zhan, your spiritual power is strong enough to bear it. Otherwise, an ordinary spirit master wouldn't be able to grasp the basic theory of my book so quickly. Most spirit masters haven't opened their sea of consciousness. They can only place the light sphere on their brows, activate the light sphere of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, and pull their consciousness into it, gradually accepting the knowledge within. However, even so, it's already quite impressive. After all, learning directly on the spiritual level is faster than reading books. Moreover, it seems to be easier to understand. Xiao Zhan didn't misunderstand this point. Although one still needs to comprehend the knowledge being inputted into their mind, the level of concentration is completely different from conventional learning in this method. Xiao Zhan didn't continue to discuss this technique with Su Wen. Obviously, Su Wen has reached a point in the development of spirit skills that Xiao Zhan cannot comprehend. At least Xiao Zhan's development ability is still focused on application, but Su Wen seems to have started to extend it. He is truly using his own spirit skills as a catalyst to involve various other abilities. Don't let these things consume too much of your energy. Cultivation is the most important. Although Xiao Zhan said this, he knew in his heart that Su Wen probably wouldn't let it interfere with his cultivation. Su Wen smiled and said he understood. Isn't allocating some energy to these things just laying the groundwork for later? When the time comes, it won't be a waste of energy. Instead, it will be maximizing the use of time and energy. After spending a night in Blazing City, everyone finally set out on their way back. On the road, Su Wen was also contemplating his current ability system. I finally mastered Earth, Fire, Water, Wind, plus my own mastery of space, should be enough to develop a world in the book similar to the Palm Buddha realm, Su Wen thought. For now, Su Wen controls all four elements of Earth, Fire, Water, and Wind, with the only shortfall being the development of Water. According to Su Wen's understanding, Earth, Fire, Water, and Wind can open up a space, but this is only his perception. Whether this holds true in the Douluo continent, he's not sure. So, he's only planning to start exploring the development of the world in the book when he has mastered space element control. This will also be the true core of his future combat capabilities. Indeed, in the past, whether it was learning or developing his own created spirit skills, they were not the combat core he set for himself. The transformation effect of the Void Silver Moon Taper's spirit ring turned out to be better than Su Wen had expected. Both its spatial affinity and its spiritual attributes are stronger than what is recorded in the data. Regarding spatial affinity, initially, Su Wen only saw that the scales on the body of the void silver moon taper had a high affinity with spatial elements. Under the transformation of its spirit ring, similar to the principles of Su Wen's second and third rings, it also gave his body a considerable affinity with spatial elements. Similarly, as Su Wen told Xiao Zhan, after obtaining the mutated second ring, three-eyed phantom fox's spirit ring and absorbing the external spirit bone phantom eye, Su Wen's spiritual power alone gained some characteristics of illusion techniques. After absorbing the spirit ring of the void silver moon taper and suppressing the absorption of its remnant soul, Su Wen's spiritual power became even more refined in sensing space. Moreover, if previously the control spirit skill of the phantom fox only allowed Su Wen to extend his super sensing talent from his body to a sea of consciousness and the external world, then now, after obtaining the spirit ring of the void silver moon taper, Su Wen feels that his talent should have evolved into a super ability within himself and the surrounding space. The effect of the fifth spirit ring is much better than Su Wen imagined. 5 days later. Heaven Dao City. This spirit hunting operation can be said to have been very smooth, and you all should take some time to digest your gains, Gurong said. After parting ways, Su Wen accompanied Gurong and Ningrongrong to the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. A 6,500-year-old starlight unicorn, Ning Fengzi was astonished. At the moment he heard the age, his mindset almost exploded. He thought that Uncle Bone, known for his defense, personally going should have been more stable. However, when he heard Ningrongrong say that her third ring had a lifespan of up to 6,500 years, he was so frightened that his legs almost gave out. Whale glue actually has such an effect. After listening to Gurong and Su Wen's explanation, Ning Fengzi also regained his composure, but his eyes flickered as he pondered how much whale glue the sect could acquire in the short term. He didn't ponder for too long, leaving Su Wen hanging. Thinking that there was only about a year left until the Spirit Master competition, he also guessed the purpose of Su Wen's trip. By the way, Xiao, you came here this time for the matter concerning Wisdom Palace, right? If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 150, Another Big Consumer of Soul Power. Indeed, Uncle Ning, Wisdom Palace should also start preparations. Although he had developed a skill like a mountain of books and sea of knowledge, Su Wen still needed to establish his influence. The other form Xiao Zhan mentioned is actually the existence of a virtual world similar to the internet in his previous life, or even further than the internet. Unfortunately, Su Wen has not yet been able to develop such an advanced virtual network. For now, he could only establish a headquarters for his influence. Well, I also think you should be concerned about these matters, Ning Fengzi said. Rest assured, while you hunted spirit beasts, I have prepared everything for you at the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. Su Wen's eyes lit up. Ning Fengzi took out a map of the surrounding area of Heaven Dao City and pointed to a suburban area. The area surrounded by these 3 mountains is the site I've prepared for Wisdom Palace for you. It's already been preliminarily developed. If you don't have any special requirements for the construction of Wisdom Palace, you can start now. 3 mountain peaks formed a triangle, enclosing the central area. Uncle Ning, this place is good, Su Wen nodded, agreeing with no objections. If the environment was suitable, the 3 mountain peaks could also serve as the foundation for setting up defensive formations in the future. While there were no formations in the Douluo continent, Su Wen could research them himself. By applying the principles of his stone formation on the 3 mountain peaks, as long as there were enough spirit masters guarding, they Uncle Ning, the most important task of Wisdom Palace is still theoretical research, so it's fine to focus on research institutes and personal research rooms as the main buildings. For the entire Wisdom Palace, I plan to temporarily divide it into the Martial Spirit Hall, Spirit Skill Hall, and Cultivation Hall, with research as the main focus. The 3 halls are responsible for researching theories related to martial spirits, the principles of spirit skills, promoting the development and popularization of self-created spirit skills, researching soul power and even spiritual power-related cultivation methods. In addition to the 3 halls, a main hall will be established to manage all of Wisdom Palace and any possible future branches, and to make allocations. The Supervision Department is responsible for overseeing the operation of the entire Wisdom Palace, while the Law Enforcement Department is responsible for law enforcement, maintaining the order and operation of the entire Wisdom Palace. Su Wen wasn't specifically studying politics, so he didn't have much theoretical knowledge about it. He could only propose a framework based on his own ideas as much as possible. In fact, the establishment of the 3 halls is just for now. In the future, he also wants to establish a spirit tool hall. However, the theories regarding spirit tools are too scarce, to the extent that Su Wen hasn't collected enough theories even from the databases of major forces. It seems like all spirit tools were truly passed down from ancient times on the continent. In addition to these functional divisions, Wisdom Palace will also establish a task hall responsible for tallying member contributions and a study hall for training newcomers. Ning Fengzi nodded at the words, not finding anything particularly remarkable. These structures were actually quite commonplace. The only thing that caught his attention was Su Wen establishing the supervision department. From what was said, it seemed to oversee all the important details in the operation of Wisdom Palace, wielding great power. It wasn't simply established for personal gain, it seemed like it was meant to ensure the long-term existence and strict development according to plans of the entire force. The operation of Wisdom Palace relies on the management of professionals. In this regard, I'll have to trouble you, Uncle Ning. Ning Fengzi nodded, smiling. Don't worry, I've already selected the manpower for you in this regard. Su Wen nodded. He continued to elaborate on his ideas for the construction of Wisdom Palace too. Upon leaving the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, Su Wen couldn't help but admire Ning Fengzi's adeptness in sect management. Although it was based on management experience rooted in the current aristocratic and feudal system, it didn't mean Ning Fengzi was inflexible. Regarding many of Su Wen's planning ideas, Ning Fengzi could offer plenty of managerial advice. Especially in the construction of the incorruptible supervision department, Ning Fengzi helped him refine many aspects. Of course, it all depended on the people, not just the system. Su Wen went straight to the site chosen for Wisdom Palace. Otherwise, the true advantage of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge would not be fully realized, and it would be confined to the data room at the headquarters of Wisdom Palace. The connectivity across the entire continent, Su Wen thought of the blue-silver grass. If he wanted to achieve signal transmission across the entire continent using existing media, the blue-silver grass was one of the most suitable options. However, although Su Wen had replicated the blue-silver emperor martial spirit, it was still in its infancy, and his control over the blue-silver grass was limited. Even if he didn't consider how to develop the technology to use the blue-silver grass for signal transmission, this approach wasn't very suitable for Su Wen. He couldn't constantly control all the blue-silver grass under his command. Once he let his guard down, other powerful beings controlling blue-silver grass elsewhere could intercept information. Intercepting information could still be acceptable. According to Su Wen's concept of constructing Wisdom Palace, the theories and data of Wisdom Palace are meant to be shared. If they were intercepted midway, losing data would be a minor issue, but the impact on the dissemination of theories would be significant. Moreover, the ability to intercept information also implies the ability to sabotage. Sabotage is often easier than construction. Besides the blue-silver grass, Su Wen couldn't think of any other medium for now. Unless we build signal transmission stations now, Su Wen had an idea. Such an idea was not a problem in itself, but it didn't align with the current development realm of Douluo continent. Just as Su Wen was about to dismiss this idea, a sudden inspiration struck. No. Who says the station must be a building? Or constructed? Su Wen looked at the heavenly book in his hand and the pages of books on his martial spirit. If, in the future, every branch of Wisdom Palace's Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge is established based on my pages, then can the connections between the pages spread across the continent support the creation of a vast virtual world? One, due to the wide scope involved, although Su Wen seemed to have a plan for developing various means, the overall goal was too large, making him somewhat hesitant. There are dozens of large cities across the entire continent, and there are even more medium and small cities. If each of these cities establishes a branch, Su Wen's book Martial Spirit would have to split into hundreds or thousands of pages. With these thousands of pages spread across the continent, Su Wen would have to ensure that these pages wouldn't naturally dissipate. Indeed, after replicating spirit skills, another big consumer of soul power has emerged. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.